Is there intro music?
You don't hear any of it.
Oh, okay.
I have to edit it. Yeah. I mean, you can sing your own music if you'd like.
That's all I got.
So it's you that do all the Leander sound design.
Uh-huh. Boom. Yeah, that kind of... Wow. That was pretty good.
Zeller's out of a job. This whole episode's going to be you making
It didn't
samples.
work in finals anyway, so what's the point?
I wasn't going to bring up.
We can talk about it. I'm all about.
I got to make sure. Okay, so I'll make a note about that. Why don't you introduce yourself? I mean, we've already got an introduction here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Robert Selaiden. I'm the head band director at Leander High School in Leander, Texas. This is my 12th year now at Leander, and you want me to keep going like with the whole history and everything, or is that one of the questions? I don't want to ruin your flow.
Welcome to Sketchbook Podcast, a discussion about creativity, preparation, and effort with artists, creators, and educators. I'm your host, Daniel Montoya Jr. Yes, Robert, I was going to talk about all of that stuff.
Okay.
Some people like to give a full biography before
I can reset.
No, it's fine. Your introduction's already going to be better than everyone's because you've made sound effects. Yep. Zeller's just turning your... Don't even come back to school if there's ever school again.
I've been doing it for years. It's fine.
Well, you alluded to this, and we'll talk about this much later, but I want to take you back to Indianapolis. Okay. Is it prelims or semis?
Which one?
Which was the one that you took 17 minutes to start your show?
Prelims.
Mm-hmm. All right. What was going through your mind, Robert, as you're on the sideline, or are you up in the stands with
I'm in the
Mike?
Stands. I always sit in the stands.
Okay.
I was not with Mike. Mike was actually up in the box because at Grand Nationals, they allow you to sit right at the judges level. So he was sitting literally right at the judges level, and he has like audio that's connected to his student that's down there that's running everything and just kind of walking her through it all. I was in a totally different place, I think, than Mike was. Mike was in work mode and from what I understand was very calm about the situation and did a great job. You want me to walk you through play-by-play?
I would love for everyone to know,
so the whole world knows.
You and Reagan are the Texas electronic bands,
sure.
Right? You utilize them the best, the most effective. Like you're doing it fantastically. Yeah. And your show relies on electronics, so I'm sure people want to know like what was going through the head director's mind. Was he going like, "This is why we don't use electronics" or anything like that?
No, we should talk about that though at some point.
Okay,
about electronics and
I will. Let's do it. I love it. Awesome.
So I was freaking out. I'll be honest with you. I was losing my mind. I thought this was, here we go. We like planned the whole year around this event, and like we have made it to the end in the last 3 shows. And then we're sitting there and they do the announcement, and I'm like, this is where it's supposed to start. Why isn't it starting? And I look down and there's this one girl down there, Christina Bradley, who is our amazing synth player.
Sure.
And she is electronic guru. Mike's done a great job training her and everything. And she's just like moving very fast, like very frantically. And you're like, this isn't good. Like, why hasn't it started? And we have like a system that like our head drum major does not start until the person down there on the cell phone that's talking to Mike, like gives them a go and everything's ready. We know that it's all hooked up and everything. And we know that there's a window there that we can fit inside of.
Of course.
And they're not going to, dock you points or anything if you haven't started your show at that point. It's not a big deal. But if you go that long, they sure do. So we were sitting there, and unfortunately, like right when we walked out, the parents were setting everything up and broke the snake and just totally broke it. But luckily, that girl has experienced every option of problems that has happened, and she brought an extra one. And
Does she always bring an extra snake?
She always brings an extra one. She brought an extra one. She saw it happen, and she like jumped into gear and replaced the snake in about 30 seconds. Like it was really, really fast.
Wow.
Like reset the whole thing. Like everything was up and running. And so what I was told when I went and talked to Gary Markham after all of that and just wanted to check to make sure we weren't in trouble is that we were like 3 seconds away from getting a penalty.
That's what I had heard. I didn't know if it was apocryphal or if it was just like, I heard Leander was... But
3 seconds.
Man.
I guess they give you like a minute or so. I'm not sure what it was.
What's it called? Like catastrophic electronical something or other.
Exactly. And when you delay the contest, like they dock you major points.
Yeah.
So we were freaking out. I was sitting there and I had my hands on my head and I was just like looking down at the ground. Ryan Cerna was next to me. I like grabbed his arm and I was like, this is how it all happens. We're all done. And then the kids were totally resilient and everything worked fine from there. You could tell there was a little bit of hesitance in the kids because I mean, they're not used to sitting there and they're probably wondering what's going on. Yeah. But they had a decent show and it was all fine. And we got off the field. 3 seconds left.
Wow.
So we barely made it.
Wow. And then semis, that one was like, that was the show of,
pretty
of
awesome.
the weekend for y'all, right?
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. The kids really turned it on. And I mean, we're very transparent with all that stuff with the students as well. And like, we want to make sure that no one like bullies that kid because it's not her fault. Yeah. Like nothing happened. Who knows? I'll bully Zellers afterwards. It's fine. But we had some great rehearsals and gave the kids some rest and talked them up. I mean, and this can be a longer discussion later about just the philosophy of how we do things at Leander and marching band and all of that stuff. And we have trained our kids so well that stuff is not the reason why we do this. That they just popped right back up in the next performance, and we had quite the performance. I think I would venture to say, in my 12 years, that was the best Leander performance that we've ever had. Is a semis.
It was great.
I remember pretty ridiculous.
That's awesome.
So I was super just proud of like getting to watch that and enjoy it. And unfortunately, finals was not the same, and that's part of this world that you live in. And the finals adventure was fun. That was a whole nother different problem. Like we had not had problems with our like the mainframes or the main stage system all year. That computer and I think the secondary computer just shut down all at the same time.
Wow.
In the middle of the opener. What it did when it popped back on its reboot is it decided it was going to play samples from the show in random places.
Right.
So we're in the middle of the opener and there's this big trombone solo and you just hear the number 5 really loud. It just goes 5. Like in the middle of it. And that's once again, like I'm sitting there and like Keith Potter, our designer, is sitting there and Ryan George flew all the way in to watch this show and he's sitting there and the whole staff is here and here's the last one and this is happening. And so, for the immediate moment, like the kids, I think were probably better in finals, to be honest with you. Like the performance quality when I go back and listen is much better in finals. I thought the color guard was even better in finals. And unfortunately, like you said, you live and die by that stuff a little bit, but when you listen to the kids and the judges are qualified enough to listen and appreciate what's there, that they judge the kids based upon their merit and what it was. But unfortunately, that takes away from the effect of the show. And when you're at Grand Nat's finals and you march after Avon High School, you can't have those problems. But it is what it is. Our kids were super resilient and they were fine. They were like, what are our snacks on the way home? Like they don't, that doesn't bother them. They weren't upset. They didn't really care about the announcement. They were happy for their friends at Vandergrift. Like it was all cool. So
that's awesome. So I have been warned that this may be triggering PTSD to you. Right. But what was more stressful, prelims at Grand Nationals or hashtag Let Them March?
Hashtag Let Them March.
It was the all the rain, BOA San Antonio.
Oh, that's right. Hashtag Let Them March. For sure. Now, let me explain why. Because the 1 minute of terror that happened at prelims Grand Nats this year was pretty stressful. Yeah. But for all of you listening out there,
right. all thousands.
Let's take it back to 2015.
Is this your first year as director of band?
My first year as director of bands. So I did 7 years as an assistant at Leander, and that should go back into this discussion. Is that I've only taught at Leander High School.
Okay, that's all you know.
The only place I've ever been. And so when I started there, I was helping out the Xbox, our alternates, and kind of doing third band director things, and slowly worked my way into running the marching band. And this was my first year as head director, and this was our choral work show. This was also the year that we won Austin
Regional
by default. We actually didn't win
because they canceled finals, right?
No, the reason we won by default is because Round Rock High School got a penalty in finals of 0.25. Oh, really? And they technically won that show, but their penalty took them down. So thank you, Round Rock, for whoever.
Westfield technically won Grand Nats in 2003, but anyway, whatever. Wow.
I feel like you have PTSD on that one too.
It's not about me. I mean, it's always about me. All right, so Choral Works.
All right, Choral Works. Here we are. It starts raining, like tornadoes, all of the things and all that stuff. So we were supposed to perform Friday evening at 6 or something like that. And they delayed the show. And then our district decided not to let anyone travel that night. And so we were trying to figure out if we were going to be able to go the next day. Long story short, they offered us a time of 6:45 a.m. in the morning, but it was still raining and there were still pretty major floods on the roads and everything. So our district told us that we were not allowed to travel. So it ended up being this thing where I think Vista was involved in Dripping Springs and Hendrickson and us, and some of the districts allowed them to go, and Vista happened to get lucky and draw a time that was a little bit later. And so they got to go. And the district didn't want us to travel until after 9 o'clock or something, 9 a.m. in the morning. So we had to do an exhibition. Unfortunately, they like BOA couldn't find a way to. I'm sure there's a lot of logistics I don't understand about it.
Sure,
but I know that they couldn't extend the contest far enough, and then the judges have to have a certain amount of breaks, and blah blah blah. They have it reserved for only a certain amount of time. So we did an exhibition, and it was. I mean, my parents at Leander they love bands. And they're very supportive of their kids, and sometimes to an extent to where it gets a little aggressive. They get a little overboard, and I have learned as a head director that I can do a better job guiding that process, and they're awesome now. They're wonderful. When I first took over, they were like super excited that, I mean, that's right when we started becoming a little decent, you know? And so they just want their babies to get to March, and it's a great show and all these things. So it just turned into this very dramatic ordeal where like they were posting on social media, and it wasn't just us, it was a ton of band programs that were doing it, and it turned into this pretty stressful ordeal. So we did exhibition, and then we stayed and watched finals and hung out.
Right.
It is what it is. But once again, goes along with the philosophy that if you know, it's about making finals and winning stuff, then we're doing this wrong. So
Well, you did a water show, and they brought the water that year.
Yes. So we got rained out.
That's right. Now, Robert, you are one of the few guests on this podcast, though there have been more as of late, to actually like the Dallas Cowboys. So I have a few questions I'd like to ask. Why are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
I was born in Dallas. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. Yes, well, okay, let me be fair.
I don't care about Dallas, but
Carrollton, Texas.
Carrollton
is where I grew
Newman
up.
Smith,
Newman
Robert
Smith
Newman
High
Smith?
School. Nope, just Newman. I think Newman was the first
Newman's
name.
the first name. Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know what the middle name is. It could be H. Newman H. Smith. Newman S. Smith. I don't know. Usually it's... What name is...
I don't know. Herbert H. Walker. That's really, I think that's the extent of my H.
I just thought of Robert W. Smith. That's
Robert W.
H in it.
Yeah, well,
has an H at the
Homer
end.
J. Simpson. Yes.
We're getting off topic.
Selaiden.
It's not H.
Okay.
It's Paul.
Paul.
Yeah. Paul Selaiden. And I'm a junior.
Oh, really?
I am.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're way off topic now.
I don't remember what I asked you. Oh, the Cowboys. You were born in Dallas.
So I was born in Carrollton, Dallas, and my grandfather actually had box seats in the Dallas Cowboys stadium.
Really? Okay.
Back when they were really, really good.
Yeah.
In the late mid-90s. So I got to go to Cowboys games all the time. I actually remember meeting Jerry Jones one time, like coming out of the box at the end of the game, and he was walking by, and my grandfather like stopped, and we like shook hands and all of that stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I just like knew the Cowboys from that era and was super into it, as well as was my family.
Yeah.
And so I have just been a fan all the time. And as I went through college, like they wanted to be good and then they weren't. And then when I got out of college, they wanted to be good and then they weren't. And I think the stat now is like they're exactly 500 for the last 16 years, something like that.
Sure.
I want to say that was the stat last year. They ended the season and they were 500 perfectly over 15 years. So it's a frustrating thing. I'll be honest with you, but I am staying a Cowboys fan. I will not divert. I will not go to the Texans, Tampa Bay, whatever.
I was going to say,
care.
these people are talking about becoming Tampa Bay fans all of a sudden.
No, that's worse than a fair weather fan, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Take that, Joe Nunez. You're not listening.
Yeah, Joe Nunez.
So how do you feel about all the Eagles fans and Cowboys haters that have come onto this podcast?
Eagles fans are way worse than Cowboys fans, in my opinion. So let me just talk about a few of them. Evan Van Dorn being one of them.
Thank you. It's about time somebody starts telling the truth about
Mike
that guy.
Bishop.
Those guys are awful.
Everyone thinks they're really nice people, but in reality, as I just hung out with Evan actually just a few days ago, and Evan came up to me and said, "Hey, it's Pie Day." Have you seen this joke that was going around? No. It's Pie Day. It was something like, the Dallas Cowboys have 3 playoff wins in the last 14 years. I was like, he just like walked up to me.
That's the first thing he said to you.
Yeah, like,
oh my gosh.
But he's just brutal. That's the thing is like he'll get angry when they lose, and he'll never admit that they are horrible, that the Eagles suck. But as soon as the Eagles do something well, the Cowboys suck, like he's on it.
Yes.
And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm exactly the same as him on the other end. So I'm sure I'm going to hear about this later. Has he already done a podcast?
He was the first podcast, and he's the most listened to. I think he's rigging
of course.
it. I think his wife, Catherine, has made it an assignment for all of Santa Clara Vanguard to listen to the podcast. I think he's rigged the numbers like certain
Look, he's pretty famous in the band world. So, I mean,
I guess
I feel like
his family makes reeds. I don't understand this, right?
Yeah. But I am going to get this up on social media all over the place. Now that it's a competition between me and Evan.
It really is. It's a competition between everybody. Hector wanted to be top 5. He's not top 5 anymore. Jason Robb moved up.
Oh,
I think he's rigging the system too.
Well,
I think
probably.
people. So
likely.
So
those Leander ISD people.
God, seriously, come on. I mean, what is it? Mike Howard's, I think, in 2nd place now or 3rd. I know.
But he's used to winning everything.
As my brother said, Mike doesn't have to win everything. Like, come on. So you excited about Mike McCarthy? Are you resting in peace, Jason Garrett?
I don't know enough about him, but I'm so glad that it's not Jason Garrett anymore. It's fine. I'm surprised Jerry Jones gave him as long as he did.
Seriously.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we all know what the problem is. Yeah. This guy, he could come in. It's not going to matter.
Yeah. Sorry.
We'll see.
Sorry. Now, you are a native Texan.
I am.
From the Dallas area. Mm-hmm. Say Dallas. Dallas doesn't. Dallas is fine. They're just so big. Dallas and Houston.
I mean, it's like being from Austin or Cedar Park. They're the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. See how I slipped that one in there?
I did. I was so happy to find out you live in Austin now. Thank you very much.
I do live in Austin.
You live in Austin.
I live in Austin.
So I'd like to know your thoughts on the following. What's your favorite taco? It could be breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Wow, that was some thunder.
Oh, my favorite taco, yeah. Why did that happen on that question?
Because God is tired of me asking about Torchy's all the time or something. I don't know. So,
I always forget the name of the place. You can help me out. Okay. Maybe I can look it up on my phone while I'm sitting here. I'll get there. It's on Burnett and 183. It's
I can see Burnett in 183.
And it's on the north side. It's on the opposite side of 183 from Trudy's. Come on, I'll get there.
It's by the bowling alley, right?
Nope. Opposite side of 183.
So opposite side of 183.
I'm getting there. Just give me a second.
Because the pet shelter is on that side of 183.
You know where Austin Beer Works is? Wait, are we allowed to talk about beer?
This is an adult podcast, and I don't drink beer. So
that's right. You don't drink beer.
Come on, Robert.
You have no service in this house.
I have Wi-Fi. I could tell you my password, and everyone would know if they came to my house.
No, it's fine. I'll figure it out.
So it's a taco place.
I always forget.
When was the last time you went there?
Like a week ago.
A week ago?
Yeah, it's really good. I go there regular. I just never remember the name for whatever reason.
Taco. I'm literally Googling Taco 183 Burnett.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come up.
So
Taco Bell, Los
Migas,
Comadres, Hacienda El Charro, Veracruz.
Veracruz. That's the one I'm thinking.
I was thinking, is it Veracruz? But okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I dig that.
Veracruz is great.
Yes.
Their Migas Poblanas taco is out of this world good.
Yeah.
It's crazy good.
That's awesome.
And I regularly get breakfast tacos from Rudy's as well. They're solid and it's close to my house.
Yeah, that's right, because you're right by that one on 183 in Duval, right?
Exactly.
Oh, shoot, should I have said that? Whatever. No, the kids aren't listening to it.
That's fine.
I commented on this, so I feel I should put this on the public record. Mm-hmm. You are so thin and trim right now. You were never fat. Let's put that out there.
But I've lost some weight.
You've lost a lot of weight. So I'm not sure when you've ever last had a fast food burger, but when you did, what's your favorite fast food burger?
I've had one within the last week.
Oh, okay. It's that coronavirus, man.
Oh, I knew this question was coming. Okay.
It's Jack in the Box.
It's not Jack in the Box. I love P. Terry's.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I think it's great.
Yes.
I don't like In-N-Out whatsoever.
Agreed.
I think they're trash.
I would agree.
I'm willing to say it.
This is the best
to the public.
episode ever so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're laying it out there.
Whataburger is very good.
I agree.
But I like the bacon ones. I think they're with bacon on it. Yeah. Sometimes the jalapeno bacon ones are pretty good. But like the regular old P. Terry's, just like regular cheeseburger is fantastic.
I agree.
It's very good. You know who also has a really good burger that is not a fast food joint? So I don't know if it applies in this particular conversation. However, have you been to Garbo's before?
No, I have not.
Do you know what Garbo's is? It's actually pretty close to you.
Is it? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
So I think Garbo's was originally a food truck, and it's actually famous for lobster rolls. And I think it's famous for that because you can't really get good lobster here in Austin and all, but I think they import all of their stuff pretty regularly. It's actually in Wells Branch, right here?
I know.
And you go into that neighborhood that's like in the north side of Wells Branch, and there's like a tiny shopping center literally in the middle of the neighborhood.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Garbo's is there.
Really?
I think it used to be a food truck, and now it's a restaurant there. But their hamburger is unbelievable. It's better than P. Terry's for sure.
Oh my God, these are hot, the hottest of takes.
Anyone out there, Garbo's, and you know what? I'm pretty sure you can get it delivered on like whatever those apps are, Postmates or whatever.
Right, sure.
I'm pretty sure you can get it delivered and it's worth it.
In this time of Corona. These are the Corona tapes.
Yes, you're going to pay a good $30 for that burger and fries, but it's good.
All right. Do you have a favorite barbecue? I know you're an Austin Franklin's guy.
I'm a Franklin's guy. I think it's fantastic. I have not been to Terry Black's yet. I hear that that's pretty crazy good.
Yeah.
I am not a Salt Lick fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the vibe is cool down there, but I think the barbecue is getting worse every time I go.
Man,
I think it's worse.
You're just dropping bombs. Now,
Yeah.
8 years ago this summer, I went to your house and we watched the Olympics.
Okay.
If you remember this.
Yes, we did, and we had Golden Chick.
Golden Chick.
I knew it was coming.
Is that still your favorite fried chicken? Or is it one of those that you enjoy a lot?
Yes. I don't eat Golden Chick a lot anymore.
It's hard to find.
Yes. Yeah. There is one in Leander.
Of course there is.
Yeah, of course. I think it's like gentrification, it like pushes Golden Chick further away as the city grows.
Of course.
So,
yes.
Golden Chick is not cool to be in Austin anymore.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Do you have one near you?
I was one by my mom's house in South Austin.
So you got to like travel.
I'm sure there's one closer, but
there probably is. I think there's one on Airport over here, but it's like on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's good. You know what? I will say, I think Bush's is pretty good too.
Oh, yeah. I don't disagree with that.
But I don't eat Chick-fil-A. I don't eat Popeyes.
Sure.
KFC. I don't really eat
You don't
any
look
of
like
those.
you put fried foods in your body.
Not as much anymore.
Not as much. Well,
and if I fry them, then I'm frying it on my own.
Air fryer? Do you use an air fryer?
I don't have an air fryer, but I hear that I should have an air fryer.
That's what all the Beachbody people are saying.
Yeah,
What do they know about being healthy?
Yeah, whatever.
Do you have a favorite wing or wings place?
I don't know if I have a favorite wings place. I just regularly eat at Pluckers.
Yeah.
Like that place is great. I actually had Pluckers just a few days ago because they were giving away free fried mac and cheese.
What?
Yeah, because of the coronavirus stuff.
Yeah, they got to get rid of it.
And so they were like, you had to like walk up. You couldn't even go in the restaurant to pick up your order. You had to like you had to pay ahead online, and then they would like bring it out to your car.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's interesting.
But I got free fried mac and cheese.
Did you go to the one on Burnett? Is that the one? Yeah. Oh, wow. This is an adult podcast. Do you have a favorite vodka? What's your liquor of choice? How about that? What's your liquor choice first?
Okay, it depends on the scenario.
Oh, okay.
Let's say
it's Thursday, Grand Nationals. The electronics don't work.
We're drinking whiskey. I would say I regularly, like if I'm just like hanging out. For instance, this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm about to see Jeremy Hunt.
Oh, okay.
Here in a little bit. We're just going to hang and do a little barbecue if it's not raining too bad.
We'll see.
We're going to hang, and I will probably have a couple vodka sodas.
Okay. Your favorite vodka?
Tito's.
Yeah,
man, I'm the
solid.
Tito's person. It's
solid.
I have two cousins that are in the alcohol business.
Oh, okay.
They work. I think one of them works for Glazers now. I think that he did, and then he didn't, and now he did. But he used to work for El Mayor Tequila, and the other one works for Moet Chandon Champagne and Hennessy brand.
Yeah,
and they hate Tito's. They think it's the worst, and they were telling me that there's been a lot of taste tests, and the only reason why people really like Tito's is because it's a Texas vodka, and they're homers, to Texas, and so they think that it's great, and everyone drinks it. It's like a popularity thing, which I totally buy into. But Monopolova, have you ever had that?
No,
before?
I haven't.
That one's pretty good as well.
Wow, you're educating all of us on food and drink.
Good. Yeah,
what's your favorite
let's
whiskey?
Keep going. Favorite whiskey. I've got so many at home. I've got this bottle of Jefferson's that I haven't opened yet, but I've had that before. I think that would probably be that. But I don't drink like whiskey regular by itself. But I drink old fashions a lot.
Ah, okay.
So Knob Creek is usually what I put in my old fashions, I think.
Oh, all right. That sounds good. Are you a bourbon guy?
Fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Favorite bourbon?
I don't have a favorite bourbon.
You just not like Jeremy.
Drink it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just drink it.
You just drink it?
He gave me that. What was that? Three Eagles or Trace Eagles?
I know.
Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
We had that at Midwest together.
Oh.
That was a pretty good one.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I would say that I'm not a beer drinker like you. I don't drink beer at all.
Yeah, that's fine. Beer.
I drink wine a ton.
Oh,
yeah.
You went to UT, so
well, with your pinky up.
That's right. Iced tea. Do you drink iced tea, sweet or unsweet?
If I did, it would be unsweet.
If you did, because you don't put sugar into your temple, as it were.
No, not true. That is not a health reason, actually. I would just rather drink Diet Coke.
Oh, that's your drink.
That's my vice.
So do you drink coffee?
I drink so much coffee.
How do you take it?
Black.
Nothing else?
Literally nothing. No sugar, no milk, nothing. Wow. I hate going to Starbucks and like with a chai tea latte or the whatever, like double shot espresso with caramel macchiato. I don't know. I straight black all the time. The only thing that I do drink from Starbucks that has some milk in it is the blonde flat white. I will get that sometimes, and it's a pretty basic drink. But like, for instance, this morning I had a whole pot of coffee by myself. My God. This is a normal thing. My staff members would tell you that it's probably a concern that I need to worry about in my life, is that I will have 4 to 5 cups of coffee every single day. Every day. Wow. Because I like get there, like I don't stay late in the evenings. I don't ever do that, but I get there early sometimes, and I like the silence when no one is there. So I'm like, have my ritual of like getting my coffee ready to go and answer some emails and get ready for my sectional. And by that time, when 7:30 is hit for my sectional, I have had 2 at least. And then throughout, like in between the periods, I'll have before lunch. Wow. Sometimes we also go for a well-known Leander High School band coffee break during the last period of the day, because that's our percussion color guard class, and the wind directors don't have anything to do other than work, and we do. But we'll head to Starbucks for a little coffee break sometimes. I probably just got in trouble for that. I feel like if someone from Leander ISD heard that I was going to have coffee breaks, they'd be upset.
Oh my God, the nerve of that. Well, I'm just kind of upset that you said Ryan Cerna doesn't do anything with percussion class, because Ryan's a percussionist.
Ryan is not a percussionist.
What?
Let's put it out there. Let's put it out there right now.
Oh my God, he's a musician now.
I do not view him as a percussionist.
How dare you?
Now, that being said, I think he misses doing a lot of that stuff. I really do, because he like regularly talks to Mike about percussion stuff, and he tries to get in there and help, and he does teach. So our classes are set up in an interesting way, in that our percussionists are not in our band classes.
Right. Yeah.
Our top ensemble is the first period of the day, and we split our percussionists up between an advanced class and a non-advanced class.
Oh, okay.
So the first and the last period of the day are the percussion classes. So I do get to see them in my top band, but the other bands do one after school rehearsal a week to be able to meet with them.
Makes sense.
So he gets to see his percussion kids during my class, and so he'll rehearse with them during that time, which is cool. But like, he tries to get in there in marching band, and I have to like redirect. No, feet.
Oh, Grapevine Cerna.
He's been awesome, man.
I'm sure.
He's great.
I'm sure. Is he the first assistant? I don't know how y'all name.
I guess technically, yeah.
He does the second
he's
band?
the second band person.
Okay.
Yeah. And he this next year actually is going to be doing a lot more with the marching band. I'm really excited. My eventual goal is to back myself totally out of that thing. Right. Not that I don't want to teach or like it, but I'm just, life balance and things like that.
He's going to be the new young Robert Selaiden, except not younger than Robert.
Well, we're going to share it totally next year. Cool. It's going to be half and half.
Wow.
He's going to do all the visual, and I'm going to do all the music, and Mike Swyron does a billion things as well, so he's going to be our continued like make things function dude, and he teaches a lot of the music stuff as well.
Sure.
So
you're assuming a lot about the existence of marching band this fall.
That's a great point.
You're assuming that we're going to have school and we're going to do anything.
I have not thought that far ahead. Everyone's like freaking out right now.
Right.
And I'm on the head band director text with all the LISD guys. Sure. And there's a couple new head band directors, and they're on there too. And everyone's like coming up with plans. And yesterday I sent a picture of my coffee mug, watching TV in the background. I am not that I don't feel like I'm being irresponsible. I'm just not going to do anything until my spring break's over. I mean, we have plenty of time to figure this out.
That is correct.
And
you will have lots of time.
Sure, there are ideas in my head, and we'll do those when they happen, but I'm not going to pull the trigger fast.
Yeah, that's good to know. So I did some digging on your Facebook. I went over Facebook likes. I'd like to talk about the people that you like. You liked Van Doren music. Did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he doesn't arrange your music.
Oh, God. Here we go.
J. Rob Designs. He doesn't design your shows.
I know what's happening.
Hey, After Sectionals, is that your favorite podcast?
I think it's a really good band-related podcast.
That's good to know. You liked 2 separate Crash movie accounts. Like, do you like that movie enough to like 2 different Crash Facebook pages?
I like 2 different ones.
Yes.
I didn't even know that. I do like that movie, though.
It's a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Did you think it deserved to win Best Picture? Really? You're like the one
Definitively.
person. Oh, my
God. What
God.
won that year?
Crash.
Oh, I mean, what should have won that year?
People say it was Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, well,
because they said at the time they weren't ready for that.
People weren't ready for it. Oh,
I mean, I don't even know if they. I mean, the fact that Moonlight won was a big deal. I mean,
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't look out of all the people on your podcast. Brokeback Mountain is a great movie. It's awesome. It's wonderful. However, Crash is fantastic, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it.
I dug it. It has Ludacris.
I know where all of this is going.
I don't know. And
you do.
You're changing things right now. You like U2.
Daniel Montoya music.
You like the music group U2. I do too. My favorite band.
I think they're good. I'm not obsessed with them.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
That was probably back in college.
Okay. You like the Dallas Mavericks? No surprise there.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
they're fine this year.
They were.
Well, they were until the season ended.
Yeah, they've got their one guy that's really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows what's going to happen? Lost. It's a good television series. You like Lost, right?
Yeah. Yes. Best TV show of all time.
I love that show.
So you're a big fan as well? I think we've talked about this before. Yeah. I all the haters out there that were like season 6 is the worst, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
It ended great. They ended it the best that they possibly could. No, they didn't answer everything, but that's the mystery of Lost.
That is. Oh, see? Why tell you everything?
Yeah, exactly. Come on. Like that big giant statue, like we don't know how that thing got there still. Like,
I don't need to know.
It does not matter. So did you know that I might be saying falsehoods. This might be fake news that we're about to say.
Whatever you want.
But if we're on the Lost train, I just want to make sure that the public is educated on my thoughts on this.
All right, let's hear it.
So, from what I understand, they originally planned season 1, 2, and 6.
Really?
That was the original plan. And the show got super popular. And so they had to they got signed on for more seasons.
Yeah,
and season 3 was good. It was fine, but that's where the downfall started.
That was also the writer's strike.
Right.
So that
exactly.
That ruined all of television.
So the writer's strike happened during that time, and they got super unfocused. Yeah. And then they finally brought it back in season 6. I feel like if you just watched those 3 seasons, you'd be fine.
That's
just a thought.
That's a good take.
You'd miss some characters for sure.
Sure.
But it would get rid of that horrible season 5 that we had to go through in season 4. Jesus.
Right. Yeah. Some bad stuff.
It's a great show. I used to actually look up.
Oh my God.
I used to like go and nerd out and get on like the fan theories and all of that
I would do
stuff.
the same thing. Correct. Was Juan at Leander at the time when Lost was big?
I think Lost was big at the end of my college time, but it was at the beginning of Leander when I started there. Those were, I think, the last couple seasons.
Because Juan and I and Jennifer Pape, we would all like go on the web, like, this is what they think this means and blah, blah, blah.
Right. And some of the people on there were right this whole time. God. I mean, that was like the natural theory that it was going to be purgatory and all of that stuff.
For sure.
It's fine.
Yeah. No. You also like Step Brothers.
I'm looking for Daniel Montoya music on here and I can't find it.
Because there's no Facebook page for Montoya music. Step Brothers.
Yes, it's fantastic. I actually rewatched that again about a month ago.
I think I watched it every time it's on.
It's so good.
I love that movie.
This is adult podcast. I'm not going to be stupid. But,
no, of course. Yeah, no.
Oh my God. That scene. Okay. So when they're like exiting the house, you remember what I'm talking about? And
oh my God. I know.
And they're talking on the porch. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you going to say it?
I'm not going to say it.
What she tells him?
Yes. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because I know that there will be students out there that somehow get a hold of this podcast.
But the funny thing is when they're outside talking, I knew instantly what you were.
Thank you. So
it's a good scene.
If you haven't seen the movie, you'll know exactly what we're talking about when you get there.
Oh my gosh. The last time I was at Leander High School, I delivered a box to you.
You did?
Yeah.
I wore my General Effect shirt yesterday.
I wouldn't know that because you don't like General Effect on Facebook.
Here it is. You've made it.
I did. See, I did. So Katie Van Doren finally sent a picture. She said she begrudgingly put it on and it was actually really comfortable.
Now I know what I'm looking. It's a very comfortable shirt.
They did it fit you fine? Was it too big for you?
No, it was actually great. Okay. It was fantastic. The one I actually liked the most was the one that you gave us at SASi, the blue.
Oh yeah,
the one that like faded off on everything.
Yeah.
That actually is one of my most favorite shirts.
Wow, that's good to know. That's good to know. Yeah, Grapevine wore his shirt the next day. I think. I don't know. I mean, he's a model.
He did. I will say. Mike Zellers did not take his shirt. I am willing to throw him under the bus.
Of course not.
And he would stand here and he'd be like, yeah, I'm not going to wear your stupid
I've invited him on a podcast, but he says his takes should not be recorded.
What is it called
for
on
posterity?
Facebook?
It's General Effect.
I can't find it.
General Effect. It's got a picture of a man wearing a black shirt. It's fine. You didn't.
I don't know what General Effect is.
Interestingly, well, that's curious. We'll get to that in a second.
Is that how we're transitioning?
No. Because I would actually say the opposite of that. But you also don't like Sketchbook Podcast on Facebook.
Really? But I've listened to several of them.
Oh, what's your favorite episode?
Mike's episode is great. I like Zach's episode as well.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good. Zach's a funny guy.
He is. Did you listen to the Sketchies?
No.
Are you aware of this thing?
No.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Okay, so during the Oscars, you're aware of the nerds.
Sure.
And I said, I want to do an awards show. I know it's February. We should do it over Thanksgiving. We'll do that this year.
Sure.
But I want to do like 16 awards where we award things to bands.
Okay.
And so we came up with all these categories like best show, best general effect, blah, 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 blah. And y'all's show was like considerably nominated. You should go back and listen to it. Yes. I am a voter. It was a team of 11 voters. I voted y'all for best general effect.
Oh, thank you.
I
appreciate
did.
it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think it was great.
Yeah, it was. It was totally awesome. Dan Valdez takes all the credit for all the extra streamers, I think.
Okay. Yes. Well, I will say there was a plan for that. Like we were planning on heightening our ability to add things by the end. So when we saw it for the first time, which by the way, we did not see until literally the week of BOA San Antonio. It was the first time we did this. And if you remember that week, it was also raining like crazy and got super cold. So we literally tested all of those streamers the day before our performance on that Friday. And it did not work.
Oh, no.
Nothing was working. And then we realized that the CO2 reacts to cold weather. So we were like, well, we're just going to take the risk and hope for the best. And so we did it, and it worked out great and ended up being awesome. But it definitely was not enough streamers.
Right.
He made a point to walk right up to me that day and say something. Now, I will say I like Daniel a lot. He's a nice guy.
He's a cool guy.
He was not the reason why we added more streamers. We did have a plan, and all of the people that saw it said that it wasn't enough streamers. Right. And then we had actually bought like over 50 more of those cannons. And the thing we did change, though, was adding more colors and all of that stuff.
He didn't ask for more color. He just asked for more streamers.
But in good Leander fashion, we went above and beyond.
That's true. That's true. Somebody said they wish that one of those kids, the Xbox kids, would have recorded their experience in
a great idea.
The water tower. Did they do that in the cooling tower?
I think we probably scared them enough to not screw it up because it was such a big deal. Like if one of those things didn't go off at the right time, people would have talked about that instead of how cool it looked. And there were times it didn't go off.
Stupid nerds.
But no, there might be a video out there. I should ask. I'll find out.
I think that would be incredible because that's like it's your Facebook profile. It might be. I don't know if it is anymore.
Those kids were so awesome, though. I got to tell you, like they got all that stuff pretty last second, and they were super excited about it, of course. But like those towers have like little windows in them that they could barely see, and sometimes they were moving backwards on the field, and they couldn't see where they were going. And those kids did such an awesome job.
It seems so obvious that why hasn't anyone put cooling towers on the field? Until y'all did it. Because, you hear when you announce your show, you're like, okay, they're doing a toxic nuclear meltdown show. There's going to be something different about it, so let's just wait. And then you roll up the cooling towers, it's like, okay, that makes sense. Why didn't anybody put cooling towers on a field until you did it? They were awesome.
It ended up being cool. That's all Keith Potter, man. He's the man. I mean, it's our show aesthetic has changed obviously since we've been with him, and it's been really, really cool. And he just has this crazy vision for it. And I people give me credit, and I appreciate it. Everyone, thank you very much. But I literally don't do anything with the design of the show. I really, really don't. I'm involved on all the meetings, and I of course am the final approval on all of that stuff. But there has not been a moment, even with our previous designer Jude Boughton, who's amazing. Like there was not a moment when I really ever said, I don't want to do that, or I don't like the direction of this. Right. And in fact, now with Keith, I don't even do anything. I don't even know what's happening right now. I don't even know what our show is.
To hear that is probably bought. Well, I'm gonna skip ahead. So since your time, quote unquote, running the show, running the marching band, you've placed 3rd at the 5A state marching contest, 5th and 7th at the 6A state marching contest. You were the champion, of record of the 2015 BOA Austin Regional. You were grand national finalists, placing 5th and 6th both years, winning the Class 3A championship in 2016 and 2019. And then, this past year you won the Class 3A championship again. You talked about Keith, you talked about Jude, but can you talk about some of the steps that you took to take the program to a higher level, how hard it was? Because growing up, Leander, when it was Keith, when it was Amanda, they were the Leander we remember. And then Cedar Park opened, just things happened. And then once you started taking the reins, the ascension started to begin. So what do you remember about all the things that started to happen and all those people that helped and the steps that were taken?
So I give a lot of this credit to Nils Gunderson. He was my boss at the time when I first started at Leander. And Nils went through a pretty tumultuous time in the program where, like you said, a lot of schools were opening. Vista opened, not only Cedar Park, but Vista as well, took a lot of kids. Rouse opened and took more kids. And it ended up just pulling away from like just the general numbers of the program. And along with that, there were like some unfortunate things that we won't talk about on the podcast that happened prior to Nils Gunderson being there, that really, really hurt the program. That was super unfortunate. So Nils was the guy who stepped in and he became the interim head director, which eventually he became the head director, and he basically saved that program from going to the trash. He recruited and got a bunch of kids back. He hired Dwayne Hill, who's awesome, and Melissa Wood, who was great, and then hired me and Laura Cross. And so he just did a lot of work, like just putting his head down and making the program sustainable, making it functional. And when I got there, it was a pretty rough place. Like it was, I remember going to my first marching band rehearsal and kids were wearing flip flops and jeans. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is Leander. Like, I remember, I have this great story actually that we're going to tangent for a second and come back because it applies.
All right.
When I went to the state marching contest as a student back in 2000, and I think it was two.
In Waco?
When it was in Waco and it rained, and it was the hold on, I'm not saying this right. It would have been 2000.
Okay.
Because I think 2002 was the last year they did it.
It was
right?
that was
wasn't
the
last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was 2000, and Leander High School got third that year.
That is correct.
My band went, Newman Smith went, and we did not make finals. I think, in fact, we were second to last or something like that.
Okay.
But we stayed and watched finals. And I remember sitting in the stands with my friends, and I had known that I wanted to be a band director at that time, my sophomore year of high school. And I remember watching them and going, man, I'm going to be a director of a place like that one day. And I told one of my best friends who was sitting next to me, and I still vividly remember that because it was the year that they did the Flight of the Bumblebee show.
It was the Rimsky Korskoff show.
It was amazing. It was crazy.
They were
that was like Amanda Drinkwater's like hype back at Leander, and which turned into the Marcus stuff this year in Colony and all that. That being said, like that was my impression of Leander when I walked in the door. And then what I was experiencing, and I remember, since we're an adult podcast.
It is an adult podcast.
My first couple of weeks of concert band, I had a trumpet player that I asked to play a B flat scale in front of the group, stand up and say, F you. And he flipped me off and he walked out there was
You're kidding.
That was the experience there. That's what it was like.
Oh my gosh.
Like there was no control over like the students, and there was no control over like the expectation for.
I can't believe Jamil would have done that in rehearsal.
It was him.
I don't doubt that. Sounds about right.
No, that was right at the beginning of Jamil's time, I think.
Oh, okay.
But like that being said, like we all have kids like that. I mean, just 3 years ago, there were kids in our program like that. It's just not as prevalent as it was. Of course. I don't blame Nils for that. I don't blame the previous directors for that. There was a lot of factors that went into that.
Sure.
The program just didn't have really high expectations at the time. So me and Laura Cross and Nils and Juan Carrera, and actually, Candace Spradlin was the director of the Guard that time.
Oh, I did not know that.
For a year while I was there, she was the director of the Guard, and then it was Bucky Flores, now Will.
Yeah.
So we just put in a crazy ton of work, just making it better, just like putting our foot down and going, no, this is the expectation. You're going to do it this way. Like we had to establish rules. We had to establish how you're going to play your instrument. And it has grown over, those 7 years that I was an assistant. It grew a crazy amount. And I got lucky enough. I think it was 2011 that I took over the marching band, maybe 12. And that's when we brought on Nick Scatella and Ryan George started writing our music. And there were just like some little baby steps that led us to where we were. We didn't have like an identity though, because we were trying to be Cedar Park and we were trying to be Vandergrift, who was coming on the scene at that time. Yeah. And they played straight up classical music, or they did for a long time.
It was basically old Leander.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were doing it incredibly well. I remember watching the 2008 show, the Cedar Park show On Edge, which I tell Jeremy this story all the time, that the first time I saw Cedar Park was at a football game. It was called the Battle of Baghdad, because that's the road that we're on. And we shared a stadium. And I remember sitting there in front of the front ensemble, which was Paul Pape's front ensemble at the time, I think, 2008. Who was doing it?
It would have been Manny.
Maybe Manny.
I think it might have been Manny.
Yeah. So I remember just sitting there, and they got to that first impact of the barber. I think it was the barber, and it was just unbelievable. It sounded like a drum corps, and I was sitting, and I think they got second in the state that year. They probably should have won, but they got second in the state that year, and it just like changed what I thought high school kids could do in like that split second. I was like, why aren't we good? Why are they good? They're 5 miles that way. Why aren't we good? And it was just like, the change of expectation for everyone, the directors, the parents, the staff, or the students. And that happened over the course of a 7-year period. And all of us stayed. And I think that's a pretty rare thing. And that's the cool part I can say about Leander is like my guard director has been there 9 years.
That's insane. I can't believe he's been there 9 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been there 12. Mike Zellers has been there 8.
Has it been 8 already?
He hasn't been the head director or the production director.
He was assisting Juan for
exactly.
a while. Got it. That's right. So,
and at the time, me, Laura, Nils, and Juan were there together for 7 straight years, and so we just like committed to making it really good. And I think probably the big change that happened is we hired Jeremy Hunt and Jude Boughton, Colin McNutt, and Ian Moyer, and all those guys, and we had them start designing our show. And I think our kids were to the point where they were able to perform fairly well to compete, but we didn't have a product that was showing that off.
Sure.
And they weren't being set up in a way that was allowing them to sound good on the field.
Yeah.
So when we made that change to hire those guys, that's when the 2013 to 14 year happened, and we did that color study show.
Yep.
And the kids, honestly, if you go back and watch that show, they're not that great. Like they don't sound like our kids sound now.
Right. Yeah.
Because they just couldn't really play their instruments super well. And so we just had great design that was showing off of our kids. And that is kind of where that turning point happened, because Jude looked at me and said, you don't have an identity, and that's why no one cares about you. So you need to decide what you want to be. And if you can decide that, and I think that's where the most credit I get comes from, is I said, I want to be the modernist marching band. I want it to be like exciting for the students, exciting for the audience. I want it to be different. I want it to be like, I want it to push the envelope sometimes. I want people to like maybe talk bad about it a little bit, but also appreciate how much fun it is to watch.
Exactly.
And the most important thing in all of this that we do every single year when we decide is the kids have to enjoy it 100%. Like they have to be behind it and into it full out. And I think that's the number one thing that we did this year, especially is the rehearsals were fun every day.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome. Were they harder than other days? Sure. But like when the kids get to go out and like, I mean, people will roll their eyes probably when we were dancing to Britney Spears, but you know what? My kids had a freaking blast and they played their butts off by the end of the year. It was really great. That's just kind of like how we guide ourselves. And I think everyone has their own flavor. And I think the Vandergrift kids love what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's because Mike has been able to get behind that, and Katie and like Dustin and all those guys are able to get behind that and make that awesome. And that's their identity.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get when you see them.
Yeah.
And that's what we needed, is you need to know, like when Leander comes up, that you're going to hear electronics, you're going to hear something new and fresh. It's fun. They're going to take a twist on something that's already been there and do it differently. And it's probably going to be something that's a little more dark and aggressive.
For sure.
And I don't know why that's my particular nature, but that's where I gravitate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we just have stuck to that. And there were times that some shows got brought up that veered off of that, and I would redirect. But with Keith, like he knows exactly what we want, and he's kind of taken it to the next level now. So
yeah,
it's cool.
It's funny to hear it was described you didn't have an identity, because for so long, I mean, Leander, they were the only high school in Leander ISD.
Right.
And they were what Marcus became, right?
Exactly.
And then, like you said, now I don't. If you asked anybody describe the Leander Band, I think the words would be like cool and exciting and blah blah blah. I don't know that people use the words cool to describe the old Leander Band. No. Not that they weren't great. I mean, they were getting third. They were winning 4A state marching. So yeah. And I've said that, you know, you have like Vandergrift on one side, you have Leander on the other, and then Vista Ridge is like a mix of both of y'all, kind of like a little contemporary,
They're
a little
figuring
classic.
out their identity now too.
Yeah, which is fantastically cool. So you are now, and by you I mean the Leander Band, you're going to be 5A this fall, right? For some, and this is no disrespect to the defending state champion Cedar Park Band, but Leander would have to be the odds-on favorite to win state marching contest in 2021.
I don't know about that. Yeah,
so
people keep saying that.
So what is your okay? Give your political response, and then give your normal give your actual response.
Sure. I think everyone knows that all of us in Leander ISD are all friends. Right. So they know that no matter what I'm saying, I think that they would all agree. Like Chris Yee is one of my best friends. He's going to be amazing as head director.
He's going to make his mark on that program for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. And I think the part that people need to remember is that UIL is a different game than BOA.
Correct.
And we do not design to UIL or BOA.
However, I think the reason why I and other people are saying you might be the odds-on favorite is because of the new content and design judge at State Marching.
I can see that. Yeah, I think that could potentially benefit us. We'll see how everyone else reacts.
Correct.
I mean, there's no doubt that Cedar Park's going to come out with a different version of themselves, because it's going to be now Chrissy and Kendall, and they're going to do something different. But I think that UIL for us is always like We always walk in like on eggshells,
right?
Especially, this past year this past time we went to the state marching contest, we almost didn't even make it out of area. And then it was actually a default rule that we got out.
That's right.
Because Westlake beat us.
Yeah.
They were third and we were fourth. And the only reason we got in is because there's a rule that if you have 2 or more judges or 3 or more judges in the top
judge rule,
3,
right? Or something like that. Yeah.
That you advance. And then we ended up getting 5th in the whole state.
You were getting
5th. I think it just depends on the judges. I think it depends on the area, and you just never know. I think I am the first to say that our particular shows, our identity and the way that like we present ourselves turns some people off. And this is not my ego talking. We just don't care.
That's awesome.
we really don't. Like when we plan this stuff, it is all about the students. They love it. They want it. It's fun. We know that the people that watch our shows love watching them. Yeah. And it's a blast. And I think that our success is coming from the fact that we don't think about judges when we plan for those things. Like, yes, we hire designers who do things that set us up really well and have great pacing and great staging. And that, yes, goes onto the judge sheets. And of course, we want to fulfill those but if you're like just trying to simply make it musical and entertaining and of quality, and the kids are like being successful on the field, then it is what it is. I don't know that we'll ever win anything. I don't know. I have no idea.
As you've won 3A class championships and you want to be
BOA. Yeah.
I mean, there are probably some people who are going like, I wish we could not win like Leander not wins.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's the part that like I have learned is that I've come from both sides of that coin. Like now, yes, we are having this success and it's awesome. It's nice that happens. Yeah. But it is something we never, ever, ever, ever talk about in our band hall. We never design towards that kind of success. It is totally 100% presented on how can I do this for 90 straight days and enjoy this every single day. The kids enjoy it as much as they possibly can and like buy into the performance. And I think that's something you can say about our kids as opposed to some of the other programs, is that I feel like our kids are so invested in the performance, more so than a lot of groups are. And we do a ton of body stuff. Like Peter Beckart is the man, and he really challenges us and does a lot of like really, really cool things. And when I say like things like I don't care, it's not that I don't care what those people think. Like, sure, it's art. It is what it is. I don't necessarily care about the people who say things like, well, they're using electronics just to cover up the fact that they can't play. And that's not true. Our kids can play. They can. They used to not be able to. They can play now. But I think that is for us. Like, we're not trying to piss anyone off, and we're not trying to make it cheesy and out of control. Like it simply is about our students, and they love it. Yeah. And that's why we're a 5A program that's a 2,100 person high school that has over 17% of the schools in the band program. There's 317 kids in the band program. That's a 6A program that's a 5A school. Right. And it's because the experience is first and foremost every single day. The kids want to be there. I truly believe that. It's not a magical place. It's like every single other band program. I think we just prioritize things differently than others.
So you start off, is basically the motto, we want to do the coolest show of anybody?
No, I think we definitely want to do something modern and edgy. We want to do something, that gravitates around the John Adams. Yeah. Lately we've been super into this kick of like rock bands and stuff like that. And to tease it, I do know a little bit about our show this next year. I will tease it a little bit. We are staying in the same general genre. But like, we're going to do some interesting, like, rock band stuff this next year.
That's a great video game.
Yeah, I think we're not that. Well, potentially some bands that are on that video.
Oh my god, here we go.
But we're talking about some cool stuff. It's going to be really, really neat.
That's awesome.
We always every year want to find like the new thing that we want to do. And 2 years ago it was this cool in-ear monitor stuff that Mike was doing with the battery that we could play 100 yards away from each other, and people were like, how do you do that? And there were in-ear monitors in their ears. It was cool. We've done more of that stuff, and we messed around with the microphones this year and the soloists and the sounds that we were creating, and it's been really, really fun, and we're just going to keep doing it. We're going to keep pushing it, and some years it'll work and some years it won't, and it is what it is.
Well, I've said in the last few episodes, when people ask me, like, they call me a hater. I'm a hater. I'll admit it. Yeah. And they're like, well, why don't you like blah, 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 blah? And I go, I like the people who take swings, whether or not they connect So I don't like everything Ryan or Carol or Aaron Guidry do.
Sure.
But I love that they're not just going to, I'm going to bunt and go for a single. They're like, why can't we try and hit a home run every time?
Every single time.
And sometimes you connect and it's awesome. And then other times you're like, well, I don't really like it, but hey, good for them for trying. You know? And that's why I gravitate more towards the Reagans, the Leanders of late. I do respect and enjoy a Vandergriff and Cedar Park show.
Yeah, they're amazing.
But I think if you're asking me what shows get my juices flowing as opposed to what gets my intellect stimulate, a Leander Reagan type show is what gets my goat in the right way. No, that's wrong. I don't know. I like those shows. So basically what I'm saying is I like the swings that y'all take.
Sure. And I think someone could be on the other side of that coin and say, well, I like the way that Vandergriff, or I like the swings that
Mike
they
Zellers
take.
is mad because you hit him, Mike.
Sorry, Mike. I'm sorry, Mike. I hit the mic. I think that someone else could say like, well, I like the swings that Vandergriff takes.
Yes.
Even though some people will say, well, they're playing Mozart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they played Mozart on a marching field.
Yeah.
And they
played
it really well.
Absolutely.
That's a home run.
Correct.
Like they did something that actually, for what it was pretty fresh and modern.
Yeah.
People haven't done that.
Correct. Yeah.
I think it just kind of depends on like your style and your vibe. And I think you and I like definitely lend towards that side of things. And, I don't think I think Mike Howard would probably have a heart attack if someone came to him and said, we're going to play Britney Spears. I think he would admit to that. And if someone came to me and said, we're going to play Mozart, I think I would have a heart attack too.
Right.
And that's just our identities. And
and
it works. And we're both successful. And we're also really good friends. It's amazing how that works. We can be friends.
Wow, that's so weird.
And competitors at the same time.
Yeah, it's like y'all are like NFL and they're like soccer.
Yeah.
People want to see 90-yard touchdown passes, and soccer fans want to see the beautiful game,
and soccer fans want to maybe potentially see a 0-0 score, a 0-1 score, and how people watch soccer, I don't know, and I don't understand, but it is what it is.
But yes, let's see some bone-crushing body slams, right, going on that.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm a big band nerd, and as someone in the activity, I like around April, May, June, like to watch videos of bands, and typically now everyone's doing the whole, like the 8th graders come up, you do a few hours a week, a few hours a day, you put together the opener or something. It's never great, but it's a good hype building. And the nerds share these videos and you watch the nationally known program. So, and being around here in Austin, you see the Austin area bands like, Vandergriff and Bowie and Vista Ridge and whatever. And so we see the Leander ones. And what's interesting to me is I don't know that there's let's just focus on Leander ISD, a Leander program that has traveled furthest from the video that you deliver in May to the final product in November. You can see Vandergriff and Vista Ridge. And can you talk about how that process works of, you got our kids coming in May and what they deliver in November is hugely different than what they do in May.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. One, just to be blunt and first and foremost, our middle school programs are just in a lot of growth right now. When I first got there, it was like a rough situation. And just like the high school, it had been split so many times. The quality of the musician that we were getting every single day was not super great. And it's something that we've been working on, especially since I took over the program, that we've been investing a lot more time down there, and it is getting a ton better. But we just start the year, in a different place as far as depth goes, is the way that I would put it. We have great players, of course, that exist, and our kids play very well. But it's, I think, a different approach for us when they come in the door, that there's some like natural things on their instrument that should exist that don't. There's like music fundamentals that should exist that don't. And we're slowly over time trying to help out the middle school, which they're doing a great job. I don't want that to come out there on a podcast of like, I hate my middle school directors. I don't. They're doing great. But I will say that, that's something that we have regular discussions every single year. I had one with them just recently. I'm like, okay, like what are we going to do to hold our kids more accountable? What are they going to do more frequent pass offs? So when they come in the door to us, they don't freak out when they have to do that kind of thing. It's just a small, steady growth. And something that I was adamant about when I came in and took over the head job is I think there could be some people out there that their approach would be, well, I'm just going to get all these people fired and hire the people that I want. And I'm not going to do that. I don't have the heart to do something like that. Or maybe someone would say I don't have like the guts to do something like that. And I'm just, like for instance, like the person that's at Running Brushy Middle School right now, Van Robinson, went to Leander High School.
Oh, wow.
Has a home in Leander High School, went to the university, or not in Leander High School, in Leander ISD, you know, has a kid that's growing up in there and has been at Running Brushy for 17 years, I think now.
Sure.
And he recently got the head director when I got the head director as well. And so we're kind of partnering together to figure out how do we make his program even better so our program can be even better. And so I just go down there regularly, and it's a slow dirge. I'm not making massive changes because I don't want to like blow up the system that exists there, because they do send us a ton of kids. Like that's our primary feeder, and there's like almost 400 kids in the middle school band program there. Yeah. So they're doing something right. Yeah, you know, the kids want to be there. They want to come to us. And so it's, I think for us, it's like that slow. Every year we try to chip away at one more thing, and every year it gets better. Yeah. And it's, I mean, we've seen that with the marching product. We've seen that with the concert side of things as well. Our region band side of stuff. So it just all gets better every single year. So for me, it's more of, okay, well, like, what do I take now at the beginning of the year when I get these 8th graders, they come in for the first time, like that is our new like canvas that we get to kind of paint on and figure out what we need to do. It was way better this past year than it was the year prior. And I imagine it's going to get, well, honestly, I go down there twice a week or once a week now, and I have seen an incredible amount of growth at both programs. And so I think it's just going to keep getting better. So I think that, to answer your question long-winded, that's probably what it is. And we just do a lot of restarting every single year. A lot of like, oh, wow, you don't know how to make a good sound on your instrument. Okay, let's talk about how that is. Let's reset your face. Like, let's talk about putting air into your horn. And it's just stuff that they don't have yet that they need. And I think that you could probably go to Vista Ridge, or you could probably go to Vandergrift, and they have deficiencies that we don't have. Yeah, and I think it just depends. Like we like put our strength towards what we do, and then try to fix the musical side of things. And I think that they have things that they would probably sit here and say like, oh yeah, this is something we wish was better. And that's just our thing for us. Right. Something we don't have a problem with though is getting our kids to buy in to do anything that we ask. Behavior problems, we don't have those. Like really, I mean, there's some kids, like natural teenagers, but the leadership thing is set up so well, and the kids are so respectful that like we don't really have to deal with a lot of that stuff, for sure, which is really cool. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great answer. So, can you tell me about pixie sticks?
Are you asking about the fact that my parents decided to give pixie sticks to the kids right before they walk on the field? That was a new one.
You didn't know about this?
I didn't know about this until I want to be safe that I say this right, because I'm sure the woman who did this, who is awesome, she is our head of our like nursing medical crew and everything, and she's a nurse. And I'm sure she communicated, because she's such a good communicator. Yeah. That she probably told me at one point, and it like went in one ear and out the other, and I probably said, yeah, that sounds great, just do that. So it like putting that sugar rush in your body right before you perform just like gives you energy. And she was like, this would really help. We really, really do this for a lot of like of our patients. Like, let's give it a shot. And the kids ended up loving it, of course. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, you're putting sugar in your mouth before you play your instrument. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But the kids loved it. It was fine. It's not destroying the instruments. They're doing fine. She said the kids like really, really like bought into it and really wanted it, and they said it helped. So whatever works, So that's the point of the pixie sticks. Wow. That nurse was like, we're going to do this right before they walk on the field. So it used to be little shots of water and limes. Oh, wow. Yeah. Just to like get you going, pick you up. Yeah. Okay. So our parents are amazing. Sure. They're amazing, and also like so involved and want to be a part of everything that's there. And I would rather have that than the other way around. Right. But yeah, they're pretty awesome. Shout out to Debbie Keller.
Right on. Robert, I would like to know your thoughts on sparkling water, specifically Topo Chico.
Okay. Topo Chico is the best sparkling water of all time. Partly because it comes in glass bottles, and I only drink it out of glass bottles.
Dude, the plastic bottle just does not have the same
trash. Trash.
You just pour it out.
It makes it taste like regular water.
Yeah, gross.
Someone told me this funny joke one time that I reuse a lot. That HEB, like the flavored ones, and a LaCroix and all of that stuff, all garbage. Yeah. Someone said this funny joke one time that the HEB sparkling flavored water tastes like someone's whispering at you from another room.
God.
Which is totally true.
Yeah, that I would agree. I
like the bite that Topo Chico has.
Yes.
I like that the fizzle lasts long.
Yes,
I like that it tastes colder than it actually is.
All of these things are correct. correct.
Yeah.
You are right.
You could put a good lime in there. You could put it in a vodka soda.
You could.
It's great. And in fact, I don't even drink regular club soda in my vodka sodas. It's only Topo Chico.
I would agree with that. Thank you. These are solid things. You just reminded me of something, which is why I like doing these things live. When we first started in SASi, did we start the same year, or were you there before I was?
I was there before you were. Okay. I started a year after Chrissy, 2010.
Okay, I came in 2012. Did me and Evan start the same year? I feel like somebody else started. Anyway, that's not the point.
Yeah.
Your initial jobs, you were the water.
I was the water boy.
And that works because you were in CASI.
I was in Kappa Kappa Psi at the University of Texas, Hook 'em Horns. And, I was really good at pouring water, and I was trained very well. So at Kappa Kappa Psi at UT, it's all men, and then TBS is all women. I think it's unusual, I actually found, compared to a lot of universities. But all the men would pledge during the fall. Is that right? It has.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds about right.
No,
that's what we did at
spring. No, I think we did the spring.
Oh, okay.
I think we did the spring. And then when you would officially become a Kappa Kappa Psi member, your job was to provide water for the Longhorn Band at every single rehearsal.
Yes.
And you would, there are almost 500 people in the Longhorn Band. And so every single rehearsal 3 times a week, and then all game days, and you'd have to take them into the stadium. It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
I mean, I got really good at like pouring water into jugs, closing the jugs, loading them on a truck, and then unloading them.
Right.
And in fact, I got to the point where I would because we don't want people dipping in there, for, coronavirus purposes.
Of course.
We would dip the cups for them and hand them out to everybody.
Yes.
So I got quite good at it. And I think Jeremy saw that in me. I think he saw my potential in the water filling part of things. And then Evan came on board, which is great. Jason Robb was a part of that. And we really upped the ante as far as the expectation. And I think we're the ones who introduced Topo Chico actually to the SASi staff.
There you go.
I can say that pretty definitive.
Did you introduce the limes, or was that?
Oh yeah.
Oh okay. I'm sorry. Gosh.
Yeah. Don't give that to Kevin. Or Dustin.
Was it Kevin and Dustin? It was a dark summer. Was it 2 summers ago?
2 summers ago.
Oh man.
I was a bully. I feel bad because I really did go to a point when we thought we were joking still, and they were not taking it as a joke anymore. And you could just tell it got to a really frustrating place. But the water was really good this year, so I guess
they learned. They learned. Well,
they did learn.
Those are the 2 buffest guys on the staff.
Yeah,
so
that's what they should be doing.
Yeah, come on, jeez, figure it out. Do you judge Bands of America, Robert?
I don't.
You've never judged Bands of America?
Not Bands of America. I would love to. I just never have sought the opportunity or been asked.
Really?
Before,
Did you know, maybe you don't know this, this is a hornrank.com stat. Okay. Leander is the highest placing band at Grand Nationals that did not have a director who is a BOA judge.
Oh, there you go.
In fact, on average, the bands that beat Leander actually have 2 BOA judges.
Oh, so you're saying I should... Look, that's what I should do.
If you want to win, at least one of you should judge BOA.
Yeah. That's a lot of pressure, though.
Well, is it, though?
The winning part of things?
Oh, the winning.
Yeah, the judging part would be fine.
Aren't y'all used to it in Leander? I mean, geez, all of y'all have won pretty much everything, so, geez.
There's a lot of good things happening.
Yes. Well, I don't want to speak ill of Leander, but I'd like to ask these questions. Can you talk about the high school itself being in the lower socioeconomic status bracket comparatively, and what challenges you may face, such as access to private lessons, the need for more fundraising, etc.? Because obviously, when people think of Leander or Louisville or Northeast, they think your roads are paved with gold, and you just go to a money tree and stuff like that. And some schools are better off than others based on where they're at. So talk about some of the issues that you face at Leander High School.
Yeah, when I started there, it was 70-something% free and reduced lunch. Yeah, it was a pretty poor community because they had kind of gerrymandered all those lines for the new schools and left Leander to what it is. And it still exists. There's still a large community of that there, of trailer park homes and really, really old homes that just have not developed. And then the surrounding area started growing like crazy in Austin because it's one of the only places you can move now.
Yeah.
And it has changed over time. I think we're now at 30-something% free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
So it definitely is better. 4 or 5 years ago, it was probably in the 50s. I'm not sure. But it presented some really great challenges, but also some ones that I think helped enhance our program. And for me, it was challenging in that I was working with a clientele that I had never worked with, which was a lot of Hispanic kids. And that's not where I grew up in North Dallas and UT. And that just wasn't an experience I had ever really had. And for me, I actually found that I don't want to turn this into a race war, but
oh my God, here we go.
I think that I love my kids now, and they work so incredibly hard. That there was something different about a Hispanic kid who had more struggle in their life, of a willingness to just jump in and do something without hesitation. Right. There was just something about that, and a willingness of a parent who was working 2 jobs or a single mom that was willing to do anything for their kid. And I'm not saying that they aren't like that now. I think the kids just have, there's more of this like questioning that exists in their brain now of like, I don't know if I believe that you're telling me the right thing, you know? And, and my kids are amazing. I love them, but that exists. And we talk about it all the time where I have to look at them and go, don't resist. Don't resist what I'm telling you. Just like buy in and do it and go for it. I didn't used to have to do that. That's something that I had to evolve as a teacher.
Sure.
The program has changed because the clientele has changed around us. That's presented some interesting things, but I think for us, the challenge of, not having an immediacy of money is definitely a challenge that our parents have to be super involved. And we don't actually do more fundraising. We actually have done an awesome job doing one fundraiser a year, which is we call it the Marchathon. It's not necessarily a Marchathon like everyone else does where they go around neighborhoods. Yeah. We wanted to find the least amount of work we possibly could and also raise the money. And so what it actually ended up being is we rehearse on a Saturday. We cancel rehearsals during the last week of the 6 weeks usually. And we rehearse on a Saturday that week after grades are all turned in and everything. And we either bring out clinicians or we'll just spend a long day like learning drill or something like that in our stadium. And if we have the kids are not required because you can't require it, but they're encouraged to bring to raise over the course of a couple months $250. Oh, okay. And most of the kids do all of that, and we slowly over time it ended up kind of being this donation drive is what we did, and we got a lot of public sponsors or a lot of community-wide sponsors. And it started out, I think the first year we did this was $12,000 is what we raised, which is great. Yeah. And then it increased to like 50 and then 75. And this past year, I think we made $118,000 off of the one fundraiser. So it's been really cool. So I mean, that and with our band fees as well, it allows us to do everything that we want to do. It does affect, like, because we don't charge a lot of band fees compared to a lot of places. And because we don't want to inundate our kids with a bunch of fundraising and our parents with a bunch of fundraising, like that limits what we can do and what we can buy. That doesn't mean that we're not well off, because I think compared to most places, we probably are doing just great, and the district supports us a lot. Right. But I think for us, it just has to like change on how we put the money towards what and what's important. And so we don't like go and spend, $25,000 on props and all of that stuff. Right. Like we try to keep it within our means as much as we can.
You try to keep it real, as they say.
As much as we can.
As much as you can. Can you remember who your favorite graduate in the class of 2011 might be?
Oh, God. If I don't say Jamil, would I get in trouble?
He's not listening to this. That was
a long time ago.
It's not the question. I'm not going to say he told me to ask it, but I'm not going to say that.
Jamil and I were very close. I have a lot of respect for Jamil. And Jamil is one of those kids that we have not often that, I have more of this now, but the kids that are just like way smarter than you are. Jamil is one of those kids. Like, and he knew it too. Like, he knew how smart he was and how hard he works. And Jamil has earned everything in his life that he has accomplished on his own. I mean, he's just like a special human being. But he was so much smarter than I was, and he would call me out all the time on stuff. But I mean,
that doesn't sound anything.
Shout out to Jamil, and he's still. What I love is he's still so involved in marching band. He knows so much more about it than I do.
Yes,
I mean he like more than often or not will like put the placements exactly where they go, and I just don't even know. Yeah. I don't like go watch other bands and stuff, and like sometimes I'll like look online when someone sends me something and check it out, but like. I don't know. I don't nerd out on it as much as people might think.
Right.
And Jamil does.
Yeah, because I don't know what his undergrad's in, but he's from Princeton, right? And now he's doing his law degree at Virginia. 2 non-band related things.
I know, it's great.
And he'll say, "Oh, I'm thinking about flying to Grand Nationals." Like, what do you do? Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah, which is great.
He is so into it. And Jamil, one day when you're running the world and you're super rich, if you could donate to the Leander High School band program, we would be happy to take your donation.
The Jamil Brown Memorial Band Hall, President Jamil Brown.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
sounds great.
You were one of the few, the selected, the chosen. drum major of the show band of the
Southwest.
of the Southwest, the UT Longhorn band. Do you still have those white pants?
I do.
Can you fit in them?
No.
What do you mean? You're like, were you skinnier than you are now?
No. I can definitely fit in it.
Did you put it? Have you gone back to alumni band to be an alumni conductor or anything?
You know, I did for 2 years, and it was miserable. I could not stand it. If I go back again, which I will at some point, if I go back again, I will not do the drum major thing. It's way too much responsibility. I will go back and play my saxophone and just be that old ornery guy, you know? But when I went back that first year, because it's kind of like an unsaid requirement, the graduating drum major is kind of required to come back and run the alumni band the next year as the head drum major.
Right.
But what they don't tell you is that there's also like 10 to 12 other alumni drum majors that are there that are like 50 years older than you are. And you will do it the way that they say. You will. Yeah. And if those whistles aren't perfect or you're not like in the right spot you need to be, they'll get onto you. They will yell at you. It's hilarious. Wow. So I did not have like a super positive experience like all my other friends did. They had a blast and they keep encouraging me to go because it's huge. Like, I mean, people go every year. And the last time that I went was I think the 100th anniversary or whatever it was. Back, right? Yeah. And it was like 1,100 people on the field or something crazy. I went back for that and I was drum major for that. And that was still not a positive experience for me. So I'm definitely going to go play my saxophone the next time I go back and just, and go to Posse before it. And
of course. That makes sense. So you came from the Dallas area, Newman Smith. What drew you to the University of Texas at Austin?
Oddly enough, I have wanted to go to the University of Texas since I was like 5 years old.
Hook them horns.
There's no one in my family that has gone to the University of Texas, but I wanted to play baseball.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I played sports all the way through high school.
Boink. Way to go.
Sorry, Mike. I played sports all the way through high school and played baseball. That was my main thing. And I thought that I was a good baseball player, and I wasn't. So I wanted to go to UT and play baseball. That was like my dream when I was a kid. And then someone finally told me that I was not good at baseball and that I should do something else, and that was a bad idea, which was great. Thank you. I don't remember who it was. Probably my band director. But I decided that I still wanted to go to that university, and there's something about it and like the prestige of what it was and watching great college football and all of that, that I just really, really wanted to go. And I knew that they had a great music school, and I was really attracted to wanting to go to the saxophone studio there with Harvey Pittel. And it ended up working out. I actually, at the time, I think it was top 10%.
Right.
And I was not in the top 10%. I was in the top 10.25%. I missed it by like 4 kids or something.
Oh boy.
So I didn't get into the university.
Oh, wow.
I got into USC in California, and I got into Eastman, and I got into UNT, but I didn't get into the University of Texas.
Oh, no.
And that's the one place I wanted to go. Yeah. So there was a moment when I was going to go to USC. I'm really glad I didn't. Not that I don't think it's great, but now that I have perspective on like, you should go to a music school in Texas if you want to teach in Texas. I think that's probably like your best advantage.
Right.
I'm really glad it worked out, but my sax professor actually petitioned for me to get in. So Harvey Pittel is actually the one who got me in.
Wow.
Yeah, it actually worked out great. And he was the hardest teacher I've ever had in my life. But it actually worked out. So I got really lucky to get here.
Wow, that's cool. Were you in Jerry's band the whole time?
No, I was only in there for a year.
At the end?
Yeah. And it was like a life-changing experience for sure.
Yeah.
And I still have a great relationship with him. But I was mostly in Rob Carnahan's band when he was there at the time. And it's still awesome. And the second band there is like most university top ensembles. And it's pretty cool.
When you were there, were the Longhorns good to college football?
They were very good. It was the golden years, actually. So my first year that I was there, I remember vividly playing Arkansas the second game of the year, and we lost.
Right.
And people like crying, like everyone around me like crying. Like I was like, why is everyone so upset? It's just like we lost a game. And that's because I had come from Newman Smith, where we won 4 games over 4 years. And so I didn't know what good football was other than the Dallas Cowboys.
For a time.
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
We
brought it back.
Know about that.
So when they lost, I remember being a big deal. And we ended up that year going to the Holiday Bowl, but we were projected to go to definitely a BCS Bowl at the time. And then the next year was the Rose Bowl.
The first Rose Bowl.
Against Michigan.
God. Dusty Mangum.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And then the next year was the actual championship.
Were you drum major that year?
I wasn't. I was Kim Shuttlesworth, actually.
Oh, okay.
That year. And then the fourth year Where did we go the fourth year? I think it was the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah,
I think we went to Alamo Bowl,
Vince
played
Young
Oregon or
left
something.
Yeah.
And then the last year, we went to the Holiday Bowl again.
Oh, okay.
And that was right when Colt McCoy was kind of making a comeback
starting
and
to
figuring it out.
McCoy.
And then 2009 is when they went back to the championship after I left and lost because Colt McCoy got injured.
Yeah, got injured. Wait, so you're in Longhorn Band for 5 years?
5 years.
What do they give a 5-year person?
They give you a set of Longhorns.
That's right. Okay, so you're the. Do you have that in your office?
No, it's actually in my house.
Is it above your bed?
No.
I think that would be perfect.
No, it's on my above my like it's my entertainment center. So like when you walk in, it's like the first thing that you see.
Oh, okay.
I should put it in my office. It was there at one point. That would be cool. But yeah, they do it every year. They give you like another thing. I think it starts with like a coffee mug and then a T-shirt and then a blanket and then something and then.
Do you ever get to keep your fringe, or is that you have to buy that?
You are not allowed to buy it, but there was a year when they got new uniforms that they did allow some people to buy.
Oh, wow.
I don't have fringe.
Didn't Jack at Westwood have fringe?
Yeah, I think he's got some fringe.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if that was
I think some people steal it too.
But that's not the kind of person you are.
I don't do that kind of thing.
Can you imagine you have that in the Leander Band Hall and Jerry comes over? What's that doing over
He'd be like, way to go, man.
Robert, for the folks listening to us at home and nowhere else because they are smart and are socially isolating, please describe in excruciating detail what shoes you are wearing.
I'm not wearing shoes right now.
No, just like Katie Van Doren, you removed your shoes at the door.
I did, because the doormat says, remove your shoes, homie, or something
shoes
like
off,
that.
Homie.
Shoes off, homie.
What were you wearing? Do you remember?
Oh, God. What was I wearing?
I don't know. I didn't look at your feet.
Blue.
They're blue. Leander blue, I'm sure.
And they have white little sole things around them. I don't even know where they're from. Maybe H&M or Banana Republic. Sometimes I buy cheap shoes from there because they're easy.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Let's go with that.
Okay, great. That's wonderful.
You know what? I'm disappointed in myself for not thinking that I should have worn nice shoes over here.
That's like the question.
Like, why wouldn't I have done that?
Right. Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
I am disappointed.
Have me back for a part 2, and we won't talk about bands.
We'll find out if we have band. If we don't have band, I go, what are you doing? You're going to have a full like beard. You have a nice beard right now, but you could have a full like Robert Van Winkle. Really?
Yeah. I thought about extending it. It just gets like really curly. Mine does.
Oh.
My hair, when it grows out like back here, it like curls like a mullet.
Oh,
so it's,
dude,
it's pretty cool.
A mullet.
Oof.
I think you and Damien should grow mullets.
Oh, Damien would look a lot better than I would.
Well, yeah, I think so. Damien, yeah, he would look pretty hard, as they say. So you're young. Do you mind sharing how old you are?
35.
You're 35. No way. You look great for 35.
Thanks.
Good for you, man.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Band directors around your age, percussionists primarily, but now a lot of head directors are leaving the game, whether they're going into coding, they're becoming program coordinators, or just completely leaving music altogether. And everyone has different reasons for doing what they're doing.
Right.
And it's happened in Leander. Paul Pape left to go do percussion. Jason Robb has announced he's leaving Rouse. Jeremy Spicer left. So it's happening a lot. And as a young band director who spent 7 years as an assistant, and now you're on year 5, right? You'll be year 6 as the head director.
Correct.
How do you see that happening you're, as an observer, and just realizing, how does that affect you? How does that affect the philosophy of the teaching staff? Or, how do you balance it all basically and maybe not end up, not that it's a bad thing, but not end up going like, I'm done. I'm sorry. I need to just leave teaching.
It's a massive problem in our field right now. And think about like how many band directors that have turned this into a career and are like doing this as a career. It's not a lot. Like you can't think. I can think of like Brian Christian.
Yeah.
Someone I have high regard for is Don Haynes. And, Jack Green.
Yes.
The people that like figured out how to do it every single day. And I think the problem is a lot of things. I think the biggest thing is that it is self-inflicted. I think the band directors do it to themselves, and we have created this unachievable career that is not long-lasting, which is super unfortunate.
Yeah.
Surely, there are some things that, like districts have all of this stuff that we have to do that goes beyond what we should have to do. Right. Don't even get me started on going to football games. And I love my coach and the kids love going to football games and stuff. But like, it's crazy to me that like most of my job is dictated around something that I don't even control and get to be a part of. And like, we're not making music there, it's, but I think it's all our fault. I think we do it to ourselves. And
I disagree.
I'm super passionate about this, by the way. So get ready. I'm
ready.
To express a lot of opinions.
Turn up your headphones.
Oh, here we go. So I almost quit in 2016. I had my resignation letter written up. I was ready to quit.
What show is that? Because I don't remember the show.
Fourth Dimension.
The Fourth Dimension.
It was the first time we went to Grand Nats.
Is that with a girl sitting there?
No, that was the next year. That was Internal Landscapes. Fourth Dimension is when we went to Grand Nats the last time.
What was the show? Describe it.
It had all the white cubes.
Okay, that's right. Every time I go to the airport, I think about your show because they have that like cube storage, and it's a giant red neon Ford. Anyway, sorry, I'm not saying that's. Maybe they bought your props and put them on them.
They didn't.
Oh, okay. So when did you have, like, at the end of the spring? You were like,
it was the end of marching season.
Oh my God,
I was over it. Yeah, I was done.
No way.
I remember driving back on the bus from the airport to Leander, and I was like, this is it. I'm not doing this anymore. And I called Nick Williams. That's next semester.
Dr. Nick Williams.
Dr. Nick Williams. Yes, thank you. And I told him what I was thinking, and he, like, in true Nick Williams fashion, was like, well, this is all your fault. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's your ego is the problem. Your ego is the thing that is getting in the way. You're not happy because, and this was true, like we, in true Evan Van Doren fashion, comes from behind and Cedar Park beat us in finals, and they hadn't beaten us all year.
And you had just won the 3A class championship.
Yeah, that day. And,
that's right, that day.
And I think we beat them in BOA San Antonio by like 7 points or something crazy.
Show, right? They just
yeah. They just like did that at the end.
Yeah,
and they were amazing. You go back and watch it. It was crazy good. And I had so much weight pressed on the outcome and not all of the journey that had happened and how much better my kids have gotten and their experience and everything. And my focus was totally on the wrong thing. And I would say to people all the time, no, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. But I wasn't actually doing actions that were all about the kids. And for me, I was ready to just be done because I was like, well, what was the point of all of that stuff we just did for us to get into finals and then be knocked down by, pumpkins on popsicle sticks? And you're like, and I'm not trying to be mean. It's a joke. I say it all the time. But it is all self-inflicted that we have this idea that the only way to be successful is to work until 10 p.m. every single night, to have more sectionals, to have more rehearsals, to put more on the kids' plate. And like, no one's sitting there and thinking, I don't want to say no one, there are, I'm sure, plenty of band directors that are doing the right thing, but most of us aren't thinking like, that kid comes to a 7 a.m. sectional or 7:30 a.m. sectional, and then they go to 4 classes a day. One of them is yours, or maybe 8 classes, depending on where you teach. Yeah. And then they go after school and do hours of marching band. And then they go home and somewhere in there have to eat and like see their family and maybe watch TV and then do hours of homework. Yeah. And I like just sat there and thought about like my head drum major at Leander, who's in the IB program at our school, who has a 0-hour class, which is a class that starts before classes start. And then she does band, and then she does 3 classes, and then she comes after school and she frantically gets everything ready for rehearsal, does a 2.5-hour rehearsal, and then stays 30 minutes after because we ask our leadership team to do that stuff. And then she goes home and has to do like 2 to 3 hours of homework for IB. And like, that is not like a sustainable life. Like, and when I go home, I'm not doing 2 to 3 hours of homework. No. There are some band directors who stay until 10 o'clock and are doing all these crazy things. And there's people who are doing like all these pass-offs and all these listenings and like adding extra hours to their sectionals, like doing smart music pass-offs to like during all of this time. You're like, at what point are they going to be a teenager and be involved in other activities besides yours? And I think that we have put so much weight on competition and winning stuff and having the best product that we possibly can, and going from 5th place to 1st place, and like, what are you sacrificing in there that is your mental health, number 1, as a teacher, and number 2, and probably the more important one, is the kids and what you're asking them to do. And it's too much. Like, I will say it plain and simple. What we're doing is too much. And I think we all just need to like pull back the reins a little bit and stop doing as much rehearsal as we're doing, and stop doing as much requirements for the kids that we're doing, and find ways to be more efficient at your job. Right. So you don't have to work as much. And like, there's these student teachers that come in and have this expectation that we're going to stay at work as long as we possibly can. And there are band directors who do this, and they stay until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, what are you doing that long? Like, how do you have that much work to do? Because I'm doing the same job, and I go home right now, well, besides coronavirus, but I go home right now, right when my sectional's done at 5:30, I walk out the door and I go home. Right. and I'm still maintaining my job and I'm still able to be successful at it, and it works. It did not used to be like that. Right. And I was on that coin. I'm not saying that everyone's doing it wrong and I'm the right person, because I was there. I was the person that was staying till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and we were doing all these listenings and pass-offs for marching band and all this stuff. And it's at one point we realized like we were making it worse because of how much we were doing and how much the kids had to do. And so when we started like removing a lot of that stuff and doing more things that were beneficial to the kids' experience is when we started seeing more of the success over the last few years. So going back to my conversation with Nick was like, this is your ego that's getting in the way. Your decisions are based upon what you want and what you like, the attention you want to get as a director. And I had thought about that, but I always thought that I was on the right side of that. Right. And what he helped me realize after a lot of thinking was that I wasn't making decisions that were based upon the kids. And if we were to sit here right now and have a round table of like all of these big band directors in the state, and we were to ask like, okay, your budget and what you have. And I'm not going to say that on here because I don't think that's the right thing to do, but I have a great budget for my boosters and I have a great budget for my district. If you had all of that money and had the support that we had from our parents, had the kind of kids that we had, the number of kids that we had, and their talent level, and having 4 band directors and a color guard director that are all paid by the district. Like if you had all of those resources and you could just clean the slate with everything, you could get rid of the requirement of having to go to UIL. You could get rid of the requirement of having to do marching band at this high competitive level. If you were to get rid of all that and just say, teach music and do that, what would you do? Yeah. And I would still do marching band. Right. Because I think the kids love it. I think it brings the community together. Yeah. I think it gets parents involved in their kids' lives. I think it's a physical activity that helps them get better. I think that we teach excellence through that. We all kinds of things, discipline, like leadership. Like there's a lot that I could say about that makes it better. But do we need to do it that much? Like, does it need to be that many hours at that amount of time, like in sacrifice for kids' happiness and my happiness? And then I think about like, I'm not talking trash about UIL. Don't get me wrong there, because I know you have Brad Kent on, and I love Brad, and I think he's doing amazing things for UIL right now. He's doing awesome.
But not everything is perfect. So
right. But that system, you would even talk to Dick Floyd, and I don't know that he would say what he helped create is what he wanted it to be now. I think that he's probably proud of that. Sure. I think all of us are proud of Texas bands and what it's become. Like it's the best bands in the country. Right. Like you can't say that they're better anywhere else. You can say that there are some bands that are better, but not the collective amount that we have. Right. And it's because of what he and a lot of people did to create this standard for excellence that's based around music and marching and the concert side of things to have this goal that you're achieving. But what we have done with that is the problem. What we've done is we've gone, okay, well, in order to get ones at concert and sight reading, I have to rehearse this music from December 1st all the way until April 17th. 3 pieces of music. Yep. And then if you're recording for honor band, you're going to go all the way until the end of May on 3 pieces of music. That's crazy to me. Yeah. That is not music. That is not teaching kids about music. That's the opposite. What we're doing is beating music into them to create a product that is like listenable, that is perfect. And that's not what this is. That's not what music is. And once again, I've been on both sides of that coin. And when your focus is get Division 1s, otherwise you're a bad band director. And if you get a 1-1-2, it's a dirty 1 and you're a bad band director. You don't know what you're doing. Or if you're going from the standpoint of like, well, I have to win honor band. I have to be the one band in the state that wins honor band. So I'm going to play my music all the way. Like then the kid's experience is based upon your want and desire to get recognition. And maybe I think the other side of the coin is like, well, I would do honor band because that experience that my kids would get to play in front of all those people would be so worthwhile. And like, sure, yes. But I think you can find that avenue without having to do it at TMEA. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everyone stop doing honor band, everyone don't go to UIL. What I'm saying is those are awesome avenues to get people to like the competition side of things, because I love competition. I think it's great. But what I'm saying is like, let's also have a great musical experience and value the kids' experience while also doing those things. You can do that. And we have done that at Leander slowly, and we're still making good changes. Like we added another concert, which I know there are lots of band programs that do, but we do a concert in February. And, we flip most of our pieces, if not all of them, depending on the ensembles, all 4 ensembles. And we bring in clinicians that they come in and they actually clinic and conduct like a region band, all 4 ensembles. And then we learn new music. And before the coronavirus thing all happened, we actually just finished recording for Midwest on the 11th, right before spring break. And we were going to learn a full new piece of music and a new march in 3 weeks because the Wind Ensemble can do that.
Yeah.
And we're still going to go and get a Division 1. It's going to be great. And if we get a 1-1-2...
Excuse me. Thank you. Hey, thanks.
If we get a 1-1-2 or a 1-2-2, you know what? I'm still going to have a job. And my kids are still going to love me.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to be a great band director. Like, none of that's going to change. Right. But I think that we have a responsibility, like people with the microphone, to say, have the responsibility. And this is what Nick told me is like, I'm at a program at a young age that I have a bigger microphone than most people do, which I need to take advantage of it in the right way. And he also mentioned to me, you would be shocked about how many people in a position like yours are saying the same thing to me.
Oh, sure.
And none of y'all are talking to each other. So I'm trying to make an effort slowly without like just pissing everyone off, because that's not my intention. I don't want to do that. But I think that we need to maybe take a step back and look at how we're doing this whole thing and make sure that we're doing the right thing for kids and not just trying to win stuff. I think Mike Howard is one of the people that is doing it right. I think he's really, really good at doing that. He is always kid-centered and focused, and I think it's so cool to see him win at the highest level on both things, because I know that he didn't play that honor band music all the way until the end of the year. Like, he put a lot of time in, and he did a lot of other music along with it, and yet he still won. And I know that his kids love his program, and he makes sure that they are healthy and they're safe, and he makes sure he's not over rehearsing, and he's not adding extra sectionals and crazy stuff. He's not doing all these crazy listenings, and yet he still goes and wins Grand Nats and has all these kids making Region Band. Like, I think that there's a way to do it, and we have to just be careful that, like, when new people come in, to go back to your original question, when new people come into our activity, that they're not seeing an example from us that is not sustainable. That when someone like Zach Santos walks in the door and he's in his second year of band directing, and I'm not saying that Brian's doing this. This is not what I'm saying at all. But like someone like Zach, who is going to be an incredible band director, and he has so much talent, that guy doesn't get burnt out by the expectation that is being created around him.
Sure.
And I will be the first to say that I think sometimes people look at Leander ISD and they go, oh, well, that's what we have to be. Like, we have to do more in order to get there. And I would say that what we're trying to do is actually the opposite. I know, at least for myself and Mike, that we've had this conversation a lot, that we're trying to do less in order and also sustain the product that's there. Understanding that maybe we won't win. Maybe we'll never win BOA Grand Nationals. Cool. Great. Like, that is not the important thing, because those kids are going to come in and do 4 years, and then they're going to be gone, and they're probably not going to, most of them are not going to talk to you ever again. Let's be real. Like, I mean, yes, I have kids that come back like everyone does, but like the majority of kids are going to leave and not see you ever again. And you need that 4 years to be an invaluable experience to their lives. And it shouldn't be about your want to win stuff or your want to get straight ones. So that way, when someone walks up to that board at UIL concert and sight reading, they see Leander High School 1-1-1-1-1-1-1. And like, then they're going to walk away and they're not going to care. It's just crazy to me. I think that we've gotten in this weird place that I'm uncomfortable with. So my whole point in doing this is for us, number one, selfishly, that I can sustain this, that I want to do this for my whole career. I think it's an awesome thing that we do. I think it's an amazing thing we do for kids. And I love my kids and I love my staff. I want to be able to continue to do this. And the only way that I can do that is if I change what we're doing. I'm not going to change how I feel about how much work is happening. Like, that's always going to be there, but I can change what I'm doing at work and how much I'm enjoying it. And I can change the kids' experience, which is going to make my experience better. And then I want people like Ryan Cerna, who has 2 kids that are young, to be able to go home and like see his kids and his wife. And same thing for Michael Zellers, to go see his wife every single day. Like, we should have the ability to have these social lives and not give everything we have to this. That is not what the intention is supposed to be. It's to make great music. So I truly believe we're doing this wrong right now as a collective activity, and we all need to figure out how to show young teachers that are coming in that you can do this and make it a career, and you can be happy and still be successful at the same time, and not give your whole life up to do it. Wow. That's how I feel. It's a lot of opinions.
It took 25 episodes, and no offense to any of the 25 guests, for us to have like the greatest like snippet of information given out. I mean, that's pretty heavy.
It's heavy. And I think that I don't want people to take it wrong. If there's like other band directors out there that are like listening to this, and I'm not blaming the whole world on this. And I think that everyone needs to look at what they're doing and ask if they're doing it right. Like we got rid of all region band listenings and requirements. It's all gone. And our region band numbers went up actually. It's really nice. But we don't make it a requirement because that's like some private lesson teachers want to do it. Great. They can do it. Some people don't want to teach region music. Great. Awesome. I think it's an invaluable tool that they can get better on. And when they don't do region music, they're also doing a solo as well. Like we're supplementing. It's like it's not like we're saying don't do it at all. Like they're still doing the requirements. But then we like added this extra concert and now we're playing more music and more rep.
Right.
And the less of the focus is on getting ones. And it's more about let's just like learn how to read faster. Let's learn how to be better musicians faster. And it's just a better experience all around. The kids want to stay and our numbers are going up. Like we're seeing the changes that are really positive. I see that my coworkers are happier every day that they come in through the door and they're excited to be there and they're teaching better because of that. I know I'm personally happier.
Right.
And I've made myself happier and I made my workplace environment happier and my life has gotten so much better because of it. So,
wow. Have you given this talk at Midwest or TMEA or TBA? Or?
I've given a little bit at TBA, but it was just like a small snippet through someone. Like I did a thing with Jeremy and Bob Cresty.
Oh, okay.
And I talked a little bit about that, about how to be efficient with your time. But I haven't gone and done say this stuff to a large group of people who might disagree with me. And frankly, like simply what I said earlier is like, you can do whatever you want at your own program. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
I care about my kids and what I can control, and I'm making their experience awesome, and we're going to keep getting better at that. I just know that I want to set the right example, and I don't want people to look at least Leander High School and think that we are beating things into the kids, or we are doing a crazy amount of hours, or we're spending a ridiculous amount of money to achieve all of this stuff. Like, that's not what it is. It's great teaching and we're really efficient at our jobs. And our kids do a lot. As far as like in rehearsals and at football games, our leadership team does a ton of stuff. And we gave ownership to them in the program, and guess what? It's better. They do better than we do. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow. Man.
Opinions.
I don't know that I should even like ask any funny questions after that. It's like so serious.
No, that's too heavy. Let's ask funny questions. What's next?
What are some other funny questions I can ask? So with art is subjective, right?
Sure.
And this isn't is marching band art question. It's just what we do is an artistic thing. What do you think or say to all the haters out there? Because you mentioned at some point you use the electronics to cover up the band, right? This isn't a Leander exclusive thing. Right. I mean, Reagan was the band when they first bust on the scene that they just can't play their instruments. I mean, I was there when it was like, no, that they can actually do things now. But you utilize electronics more than 95% of the programs out there. So this isn't just an exclusively electronics question, but you did say that maybe some people look at your shows and go like, oh, I can't believe they're doing that.
Right.
Oh, that's not my marching band. You know, that kind of thing. What do you think or say to all the haters that are out there?
I think that maybe just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not valid and worthwhile and that you don't like it.
Right.
And I think that people don't understand what it is. They think what we're doing is just pushing a button and a sound comes on. That's not what we're doing. Like Mike Zeller, I think if you can't do it really well like Mike does, and there are a lot of other groups are doing, I think if you can't do it well, then don't make it a priority for your program.
Right.
Because it is very involved and it does cost money. And you do have to have someone that knows what they're doing and that can make it organic. And I think that's the best part about what Mike Zellers does is, and I will say like in 2014 and 2015 and some of 2016, like it was very prominent in our show. And we have purposely backed it out a little bit.
Sure.
And because our kids have gotten better and we want to make sure that like it's not the dominant part of the show. It was an identity and it worked for us really, really well. And it helped us get attention and it helped us be fresh and new and different than everyone else. But now a lot of other people are doing it too. So we have to go, okay, well, we have to play as well as other groups do as well. So we've gotten better on that end. But I would say, I think what Mike does the best about it is that it's incredibly organic to the composition of the show. He doesn't go in and we don't go, we're going to put 10 measures of electronics right here. That's not what it is. Ryan George writes this brilliant piece of music and then Mike goes in and he like enhances it in places that will allow for the effect to be better and it will allow us to show off the kids in a way that is unique and different and fresh and catches your ear in a different way from what you thought it was going to be. And so we play 1812 Overture, but we do it in a totally different way than everyone did. And then like you don't realize that there's actually like a big like air horn siren going on behind all of that that's creating all this tension. You don't even realize it's there until you watch it a few times. But he just like adds a whole nother element to it that for me, like makes it more entertaining. It's more enjoyable to listen to and watch. It makes it way more effective from the standpoint that we can get our show across to someone that necessarily couldn't understand it, or it would be more basic, I guess I would say. But you have to do it in a way that I think is tasteful and musical. And the kid who's doing that and the kids who are doing that, like they're being musicians. Like they're rhythmically doing this. They're involved in all of the electronic process from the writing standpoint, from everything they do with the computers, everything he does with the audio stuff. Like he teaches the kids about that. And Mike is great at that. And he does it at the highest level as well with Boston. And they're getting an education that is still musical. You can't say that that's not part of music education, because it is. Like there are degrees that are being given out at most universities now on electronic composition. Is part of it. It's just new and different. And I think people are less uncomfortable with it when they used to be, for sure. And I think that maybe they just see that as like, oh, well, they just put electronics in and that's what makes them, sound good or whatever. No, that's not the case. And then are you about to ask about aerial mics? Or are we about to get in there?
No, I wasn't going to.
You weren't going to?
I wasn't.
Because you're a hater on the mics. I know you are.
I don't know that I'm so much a hater on them. I'd like to acknowledge that certain bands can be as loud without them. But I also, Katie did say Vandergrift uses them for their woodwinds, but at that point you're like, is it only the woodwinds?
Sure.
It's not a hate on those that use them. I think it's more.
Well, there's been some drama around it, especially on the UIL side.
When I think of the groups that utilize it the most, actually Leander's not the one that pops to my mind. I think there's some other groups that let's put them all along the front and let's crank it up.
Right.
I don't want to be moved by speakers. I want to be moved by the Vandergrift sound, just kind of hits you.
Yeah, so it's different.
So it is different, but I wouldn't think Leander's the
sure. And I mean, I'll be the first to say we use them. Yeah, it's there, but for us, it's more of we want to have the ability to stage things and have creative moments that are different that you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have that microphone on that woodwind section there.
Makes sense.
Or the trumpet section over here. Yeah. So it allows us to do that, but not necessarily enhance the sound that's there.
And I'm all about that. I'm all for that, because you should not always have to. You got to put the woodwinds up front for a feature. Why can't they be in the back corner and you put a mic on the cooling tower or something like that?
Well, and if you're also saying that the people are only using it because they want to enhance their sound, well, you can't use it at UIL. Right. You can't use it to enhance your sound at UIL. You can use it for small ensembles, which has now been defined.
Correct. Aren't you the reason we're
the reason why it's defined?
But you pulled it out of the solo ensemble, right? So is that story true?
Okay, let me tell you the exact story without talking trash about anyone.
Okay,
they know who they are.
Oh, great.
I'm kidding.
They're not listening.
I think it's a good thing that it's been defined. I really, really do, because the definition was just small ensemble, but there was no definition of how many kids that is. I will say, in our defense, Mike Zellers every single year sends all of our stuff to Brad Kent and says, what will you approve? What can we do and what can't we do? And some stuff he comes back and he says, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And we sent him a video and said, here's the small ensemble. Are you cool with this? And he said, yes. Gotcha. So we did not do anything that was illegal, number one. Right. We didn't break any rules. But it did prompt some people to go okay, hold on. So now a woodwind section is a small ensemble. Right. And that's what we did. Yeah. We mic'd a whole woodwind section. And it was during a part that was this cool cello, and we wanted to do this electronic stuff with it. And so that's the reason we used it. So we could have this cool, unique moment that you couldn't do if you didn't have the microphone.
Right.
So we're just utilizing what's being given to us in a way that maybe is pushing it a little bit. And it did. So no one, I don't think, got mad or anything, but everyone was like, can you just tell us what this is? Because we thought a small ensemble would be 5 kids, 8 kids, which that would be the natural assumption.
Right.
So now that has been passed down, and I think now it aligns with the small ensemble with solo ensemble, right?
Correct.
And so now it's a smaller group of kids. So we're going to abide by the rule, and we'll do it now.
You're like a Fortune 500 company utilizing the loopholes in tax law.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Yeah, you're just hey, you don't like it, change the law.
Consider me the bad billionaire.
Yeah, my God. You're the 1% of marching band, aren't you, Robert?
I hate that term.
The 1% of marching band?
I don't want to be a part of that. Oh. I'm a staunch liberal.
Oh, my God. I couldn't tell by all your Facebook likes, but I don't want to, Republicans are band directors too.
Yes, they are.
From what I understand.
And I have lots of Republican friends and band members.
Yeah.
Family members. And they are lovely human beings, and I love them dearly.
Yes. When's the last time you did the cha-cha slide? Do you remember?
God, probably last year at a band thing. Definitely at a SASi camp. I do it too much.
Oh, is that your favorite dance, the cha-cha slide?
I hate the cha-cha slide.
Oh my God.
I hate all like full ensemble dance songs, if that makes sense. The YMCA, I hate it. The cha-cha slide, I hate it. What's the Macarena? Yeah, I hate it. I can't stand it. It is, for someone who I public speak a lot, obviously in front of my kids and my parents and stuff. Yeah. And for someone who I would consider myself okay at doing that thing, I hate karaoke, and I hate having the spotlight on me and having to do dancing or talk. I hate it. I can't stand it. That is my least favorite part about SASi, is doing that karaoke. I'm being honest with you. I hate that part of SASi. That's why I always stand in the back. And I regret that I'm saying this now, because now I have a feeling you're going to make me jump up in front. I will not do it. I will run away.
Just grab a camera. That's how Jason and Chris Yee get out.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Just like, I got to take pictures.
Yeah, we need a third person.
We need a third photographer. Robert, what is your worst habit?
My worst habit. Is this like in general in life, or are we trying to relate it to bands?
It doesn't have to be band. This can be just people want to know about you. If you were putting this on your dating profile or whatever.
Sure. My worst habit, I think I have two.
Okay.
I bite my nails a lot.
Oh.
I do. I bite my nails a lot. You notice how one side has longer nails than the other?
I do. Oh my!
Because I work my way through them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I make.
That's disgusting.
So by the time you get to one, you start all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I bite them a lot. I don't know why. I don't think it's a nervous thing, because I don't consider myself super anxious.
Yeah.
But I think who knows? That, and I drink way too much coffee.
Apparently, 4 to 5.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
You drink a whole pot.
Regularly.
That's wild to me.
I had 3 this morning.
3 pots? Yeah. How are you alive?
Yesterday I had a full pot of coffee, for sure.
I can hear your heart through the microphones right now. No.
That's why I work out too, just to offset it as much as possible.
Yeah. Wow. What is the last piece of...
Can I ask you?
About what?
What are your bad habits? Because do people ask you questions?
They don't.
What are your bad habits?
Oh, I'm incredibly selfish. Like, that's number one. I'm a selfish person. I can be. I'm way less selfish ever since I got married. Way less selfish ever since I had a kid.
I would agree with that.
But I think I'm still very. I'm selfish.
I think you've changed. Well, aren't we all?
Have.
I think you've changed quite a bit, especially since your kid.
Yes. You know what's interesting, and I think about this. It took me a long time to realize there was a difference to me between something not being good and me just not liking it. Because for the longest time, and I'll tell it to anybody, I would just go like, that's not good. And someone goes, what do you mean? It's like, eventually it was just, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
it's not my
flavor.
It's not my flavor. Yeah. And then eventually, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because I turned something in my late 30s, or I just achieved some sort of success, because I'm humble brag. I've achieved success. Right. I've had groups make Grand Nationals finals. I've got all these things. So, but at some point I just go, wait a minute, I just don't like it. But it's actually kind of good. And so that was one of my worst habits, was instantly, if I didn't like it, it wasn't good. There was just no room for it. And so I think but those things have gotten better over the years. I think because you get comfortable in your skin, or you get comfortable and just, you're like,
Well, I think it's also a maturity thing too, don't you? Like, I mean, I think that's the cool part about art. Is that I feel that way sometimes. When I look at other band programs, and I'm like, how are they beating us? Or like, how is that making finals? Like, I used to be like, Leander wasn't making finals,
right,
and it was just like a particular flavor that I don't gravitate. Like the Marcus stuff, I appreciate it so much, but I don't gravitate to it.
Correct.
I could never do a Amanda Drinkwater Marcus style show, because I wouldn't connect with it. I wouldn't be passionate about it, but she did it, and her staff and those guys did an incredible job. It just wasn't my flavor. I could say the same thing about things that I saw at Grand Nationals, and just I don't particularly like that. But I think as we grow up and we get better at the art, that we go, okay, you've put in a lot of time into that. That's really good. I appreciate that, but
it's maturing.
I won't watch it again.
Exactly. Hey, here's my applause.
Sure.
Thank you. I won't listen to it in my iPod or whatever the kids, the iPhone. What's the last piece of music you listened to? Yeah, do the kids know what iPods are?
I don't think they do.
Oh my gosh. A Zune.
What's that?
Yeah, it was Microsoft. Microsoft released a Zune. That was their thing, and it got blown out of the water. So, last piece of music you listened to, Robert?
Like what was on in my car?
Sure.
When I just
walked in. Driving over here.
I listened to Sarah Bareilles a lot. I love Sarah Bareilles. It is not a tease. Oh. We did play Sarah Bareilles in the Choral Works show, though.
Was it Brave?
No. It was this piece called Once Upon Another Time. Okay. Anyway, the last thing I listened to is the song called Saint Honesty by Sarah Bareilles. It's gorgeous.
Oh, were you singing along with it?
I was.
Really? Full blast?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite musical?
Hamilton.
Is it Hamilton?
I know almost every word to the Hamilton soundtrack.
You could rap Hamilton for us?
I could probably do it all. If you like pop to the song on, I could probably do it.
I think acapella, man. Right now everyone's going, snap.
How does a bastard? I just said it.
You did. No, it's fine.
It's adult podcast.
You can say
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
People have said ass. People have said bastard.
Okay.
Katie Van Doren said the S word, and she asked that I put a sound effect over it. So
good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I recently went to New York and saw. I did not get to see Hamilton, but I did see that in Chicago. But I saw Lion King. It was great. Ooh. I had seen Dear Evan Hansen when it passed through. It was really, really good. I know all the words to that as well. That's very good.
Okay.
I don't like a lot of the old school musicals, all the like the Sondheim stuff. Like I like the music.
Jude's rolling over in his grave.
Oh, I know. Right, he's probably that's where he turned it off finally. Yeah, I don't really like watching that stuff because it's super cheesy. Right. I mean, all musicals are cheesy.
Yeah, but, in their own way.
Yeah, I think that's cool. The next thing I'm going to get into though, because he's about to release a movie, is the Lin-Manuel
In the Heights.
In the Heights. Yeah, yes. I don't know that.
I don't know it either, but the trailer looks incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited about
that. Awesome. Robert, you are 35 years young. I am. 17 years ago, what would you have said to your 18-year-old self right now? You're in a time machine. You go to Robert Selaiden's room. He's 18. What advice do you give him?
Wow, that's a hard question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've changed a lot in the last 18 years.
Probably changed a lot in the last 8 years.
Yeah. I would say, to be a little vague about it, is just from a life standpoint, I would say, number one, do what makes you happy, no matter what that is.
Sure.
How personal do we want to get here? I mean,
you're the one talking,
right?
Yeah.
So I came out, as you know, many, many years ago.
Sure.
It's not many. It's only been like 7 or 8 now. I wish I would have done that when I was the age of my students. Because like now I feel like an advocate for that. And it's not like I talk about it when I'm with my students. I don't like say, hey, everyone, I'm gay. Guess what? Like I don't do any of that.
Right.
But the kids know. I mean, I think that it's obvious to them now. But I know that I wish I would have had someone in my life that would have been a great example for me. So I would have seen that. That I would have become the person that I am now, and such a calmer person and less of an angry person. My relationships are so much better now. My maturity is so much better now. I look at the world a different way, that's for sure. I wish I would have had that person, or had someone in my life that I could have seen as an example, even if I wasn't able to talk to them, that I could have seen that, because I didn't have it where I grew up. Right. And we're not going to get into all the craziness with all of that. Like I have such supportive family members and all my friends. I don't think I've had many bad experiences with any of it. But I see so many of my students that I know are going to be gay. And I see their struggle that's happening, and I wish that they would have had someone that was in a position like mine, or a family member or a friend or something that would exist. And so I do now feel not necessarily a responsibility, but a desire to want to be that mature adult that isn't like the way you see gay people on TV shows or you see them on movies, that are these most flamboyant people that have ever existed. Like it needs to become an easy social norm that is not uncomfortable for people to talk about. Right. And it shouldn't be shocking that Robert Selaiden at Leander High School Band is gay. Like that, that shouldn't be a thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that for me, I wish I could go back, because I knew I was gay when I was in 7th grade. Like I knew a long time ago. But I wish I could go back, because there were years and years and years of hard life and pain for me that existed that I am thankful for now. But I can't imagine where my life would be now if I would have just been brave enough, or had someone back then to support me, that I could have felt comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the number one thing that I would probably say, if we're just being honest on the podcast. What a great podcast you're having today.
This is the most incredible episode. I don't know that I can really record another one. You were just.
I like some honesty.
This better be the most played episode. I mean,
maybe that's the reason why, because at the beginning you told me that who was in the top 5,
Evan.
And you said that Mike Howard was number 2, and he's probably going for number 1. Who's first? Evan?
Evan.
It's only because he was the first one, though.
Yeah, I think so.
So I would like mine to shoot up to the top really fast.
I think
let's hype it.
I'm going to hype it. I mean, everybody should. So I know we're in the time of Corona, but what's next for Robert Selaiden?
God. I will say this first and foremost. I am enjoying my spring break right now, and I am going to enjoy it for the next 3 days, and then I'm going to figure out what to do next week. Right. I know that our district is doing a great job. They're going to train us on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday with how to do all this stuff online and give us as many resources as we possibly can. We've already been looking at a bunch of stuff and figuring out this Zoom thing, and we're a Google district, so I think we'll probably figure out, we already use Google Classroom a ton and Sheets and Docs and all of that stuff, and I'm sure we'll just try to go more into that. But for us, it is not going to cause us to do more required band things. I imagine they're going to get inundated with other classes too. Yeah. So for us, we're actually, something that we've been bringing up is having like a composition contest, like having kids like pick like what they, and doing these like virtual choir things and like having kids like pick a piece of music, whether it's pop or like a band piece or something like that. And we'll kind of regulate it to make sure it stays appropriate, but, and getting them in their sections within their bands to do a virtual like submission. And that way they're like playing their instruments, but they're having a good time doing it as well. I just don't want it to turn into like regular hour master classes that they're always doing. I think we're still going to do some of that stuff with our private lesson teachers. But we're not going to turn it into this like massive requirement where we're going to have these kids doing all these pass offs and everything. Like it'll be some of that and some of just having fun. And also like, man, if I were a kid and this happened, I would be so excited. I mean, let's be real.
Well, I have so much stuff now.
Yes.
Because you're only 6 years younger than me, but our world was very different. If we were in high school, I mean, we don't have the internet. I mean, I didn't have the internet when I was in high
barely
school.
had it.
Probably, and even then it was dial-up, right? So you're not watching Netflix. So you're still like reading books and stuff like that. The kids can be on their phone all day.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be great for them.
I think so.
They're gonna love it.
But I think what you're talking about, it would be very un-Leander if you were like, and then our master classes are doing this like that. You don't. That's not your MO. That's not what you just described for the last like 2 hours of what you want to do. So. But you're also probably thinking about these kids too, right?
Yes. I mean, they need to be playing their instruments, right? I mean, we don't want to spend, let's say school gets canceled for the rest of the year, which is a probability, like that this could definitely happen. That we don't want our kids going for 6 months without playing their instruments.
That would be the reality.
Marching band, because that would happen. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, we can't be naive to think every kid practices their instrument all the time, even the best ones. So I think there's a little bit of holding them accountable and having requirements, but also we're going to have a great time doing it too. Like we're talking about all kinds of stuff. My colleagues have a lot of really cool ideas, and we're talking about doing like composer days and like watching videos, all this free stuff that's online right now, like getting to watch all these cool videos and like just have discussions about it or just like hang out with them.
Or every band kid listens to a particular episode of this podcast. Get those numbers up.
Well, good thing I just said a cuss word. So.
Oh my God, Mr. Selaiden said the B word. Oh my God. So you are an educator, you are a designer, a performer, a teacher, all that stuff, but you've been around enough people. Is there anybody who's in the activity that we should be listening to? And it can be someone young, it could be someone old and grizzled, it could be a veteran, whatever, but just someone that you find is someone that absolutely needs to be someone we listen to.
A lot. I have two that popped in my head immediately.
Let's do it.
Peter Beckart.
Yep, you mentioned him.
I'm a huge fan of his. I think Peter is, obviously we use him for body stuff, wind band body, but he's also a drill rider.
Correct.
And he does a lot of stuff for the Blue Devils as well. I think he like has his head on straight with how this whole thing goes in marching band and WGI percussion and all of that. And he seems like he's just an incredible educator and not like this crazy overt designer. Like to me, it's all about like the kids physically being able to do what they can do, but also the experience being really positive. And every time he comes and teaches our kids, like I just think he's a brilliant teacher and he's so young and already being successful at the Mandarins. Like I think there's some really positive things going on with him. He seems like he's doing it the right way. And then Mike Howard. I'm a massive fan of Mike Howard. I think he's awesome. I hope that he does this and is involved in it as long as he possibly can be. I know he's got a family and he's doing all kinds of stuff, but there's a reason why he's being successful and why he's also a kind person and has a great family and has awesome kids. And like, there's a reason that exists. I've told him many times before, and I'll say it over and over again. He's just someone that I look up to, is that I think is doing this right without getting burnt out and like, treating the kids the right way. And maybe that's because he's here in my district, but I'm not a homer to Leander ISD. I love what we do and I love what's happening here, but Mike is just, I think, a special teacher and a special person. So I would say him for sure. And I think we're looking forward to someday. I can't wait till Katie Van Doren finds her opportunity in the band world. She's gonna do some amazing stuff too. That's gonna be some pretty awesome stuff happening from her. She's a pretty ridiculous teacher.
I agree. But that doesn't mean you didn't want to beat them.
I want to beat them at everything. God, I love it.
So okay, so let me ask you this. After semifinals, you had the show of the show you considered the best in the last 12 years. Yeah. Was there a point you turned to Grapevine or Zellers and just go like, we're going to win this thing?
I never said that. I thought we were going to get third, probably. I didn't think we were going to beat Avon. Right. Because that color guard and the show is designed so incredibly well, and the kids are so bought into that show. I think I think we had a chance of winning for sure. If we would have had an even better show, if you finals, had that, I think it could have been.
It would have been. Yeah, I think because I was sitting next to Jason Robb and Noah Bellamy, and I think there was this buzz like before you came out, and you're just like, if they do this, right, I think they're going to win Grand Nationals. Because you had the effect,
sure, yeah,
and
we could have won effect, and that could have helped.
That would have been over,
right?
And and you play March well enough,
right?
Because Vandergrift just plays in marches so well. That's the thing. Yeah, I mean that's the reality.
Well, and that's their effect is excellence.
Correct,
and it's awesome.
Yeah,
and it is effective.
Very much so.
Even when it wasn't excellent during their encore show, I was affected by it because it was so good.
Yeah, that was the worst show of the year for them. It was their encore. But
I loved watching Katie during all of that. She was just like she was miserable, but also happy.
I enjoyed watching the kids, as you probably do. Just the kids blowing entrances. But they're like so incredibly excited. So, do you have anything you want to plug, Robert? A website, your line of hair products.
I don't have
your cologne line.
Hair products. I still use the cologne that my grandmother gave me.
Oh, is it Old Spice?
No, it's actually called Domain.
Oh,
and it is a Mary Kay product. Actually, my grandmother, she passed away several years ago, but my grandmother, she worked for Mary Kay, and Dallas is the Mary Kay headquarters, and she actually worked for Mary Kay herself.
The Mary Kay.
And she like had the pink Cadillac and all of that stuff, and everything. Yeah. So she would at Christmas we would get this Domain cologne every single Christmas, and I have so many bottles saved up. So like I haven't, because she passed away, I haven't received it for several Christmases, but I have so many still.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why we talked about that.
Wow.
But there you go.
Yeah. So you're plugging Mary Kay Domain cologne.
Yeah. I think it's great. Yeah. Topo Chico.
Yeah, sure.
For sure. I'm a huge fan of Skittles. I like Skittles a lot.
Do you, the normal or?
Yeah, just like regular Skittles.
Berry,
Me and Will Calloway, like every marching band rehearsal, will hammer Skittles. Here's another thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
We do this awesome thing. This is so pointless what I'm about to say, but I don't care.
This is amazing.
You can do whatever you want with it. So we do a like for all of our 8th grade night that happens, we give them bags of candy, and so all the kids they're required to bring in a bag of candy each, whatever they want. So we pile it up in this massive box. Well, most of the kids, and I'm going to get in trouble for this now, but I'm still going to say it because it's funny. Most of the kids' candy we use, but there's a large box still left over of candy that the directors that we all munch on through the course of the rest of the marching season, and we get so fat because of it. And me and Will just hammer Skittles and Starburst every marching band rehearsal, just like for 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
It's the secret to the Leander Band success.
That's what it is. Nonstop candy. Pixie Sticks. Starburst, Skittles.
Everyone loves our color guard. They're amazing. We've got a ridiculous color guard, and it's all because of Skittles. I mean, Will's smart, but
but like Squiddles. I don't know if that works.
It's fine.
I don't know how to end this other than saying this really was the best episode that we've ever done here, and I think this may be the last episode we ever do.
End it here.
We're ending it.
It might because of Corona.
It literally could be. This could be. They'll dig it up 100 years from now and go, Robert Selaiden must have been the greatest band director in the history of the world.
I have a lot of thoughts on Corona, and I want everyone to calm down. That's what we need to do. Be smart. Stay in your home. Be
smart.
Calm down.
So we shouldn't be going to the beach right now.
I mean, if you want to go to the beach, fine. Just know you might die.
You heard it here first from Mr. Selaiden. stay off the beach or you're going to die.
Yeah, that's how we should end it.
This episode of Sketchbook Podcast was recorded in Austin, Texas, and was edited and produced by me, Daniel Montoya Jr. Our logo is created by John Suh of Purpose Designs, and our music is provided by Epidemic Sound. If you enjoy Sketchbook, tell a friend about the show or share a link on social media. You can rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts, and you might find your review featured on a future episode. Got questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns? Email us at sketchbookpodcast@gmail.com. It too could be featured on a future episode. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at SketchbookPod and join the Sketchbook community on Facebook at Sketchbook Podcast. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Sketchbook Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.